20-year-old Carla Patino is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old DeAsia Martin, for keying her Chevy Metro. Carla says DeAsia is jealous and angry.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 314 on the calendar in the matter of Patino versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Let's have a seat.
Miss Patino, the defendant is your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
And each of you, in the exercise of what I'm sure is excellent judgment, each had a child with him.
Yes.
Right? Stand up next to her. It is your claim that Miss Martin, who's jealous and annoyed because you were fooling around with the boyfriend while he was with her, vandalized your car. Miss Martin says she's not jealous, she's very happy to be rid of him, and she never vandalized your car.
That's right.
So let's find out. What's your name?
Daniel Ayala,
How old are you, Mr. Ayala?
23.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an assistant manager at a grocery store.
For how long?
Been with the company, it's gonna be 6 years in November.
How much money do you earn a year?
Between 30 and 35.
And how many children do you have?
2.
With Miss Martin, you have one child. How old is that child?
He's 2.
Pay child support for him?
Not through the course, just I just give her money every week when I get paid.
How much do you give her every week?
She asked me for $40 a week, so I give her $40 a week.
So you give her $40 every week, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Who do you live with now?
I live at home and also stay with her.
What do you mean you live at home and stay with her? What does that mean?
I stay at my mother's house and
How often do you stay at your mother's house?
probably like 2 nights a week.
And you stay with her?
Yes.
Where do you pay rent?
We give her mother money for rent.
Who's we?
Me and Carla,
Give who money for rent?
her mother.
Oh, so you live with her mother.
Yes.
How much do you pay rent?
She gives her $200 a week. I mean, what, a month? $200 a month.
And you?
Well, I give her $60 a week.
You give her $60 a week.
Yes.
For what?
Just so I could give her money.
You understand that if you give Miss Martin $40 a week, which she's going to tell me you don't give her all the time, is that right?
No, I don't give it to her anymore.
Shh. Right?
Right.
Right. But if you did, that would be $5.74 a day. You look like you are a pretty good eater. Mr. Ayala? Can you eat on $5.74 a day?
Sometimes.
Really? Tell me where. Tell me where you
Fair
eat.
Play Foods Deli.
What?
My grocery store is deli.
Oh, because you get the food for nothing.
Pretty much.
Now, Miss Martin, did you vandalize Miss Patino's car?
No, I did not.
Miss Patino, how was your car vandalized and when?
Okay. It happened on Tuesday, October the 3rd this year. When I got out from work at 9 o'clock, I went to my car and I saw scratches around the car and 4 flat tires. But what happened was that she went to my job the same day around the time 6 and 6:30
Where do you work?
at a grocery store.
Same grocery store he does?
No, I work in Markham.
So she came to your grocery store. Don't move back and forth. You know what you just did? Show me attitude. Right?
I'm sorry. I was
Don't show me attitude. Only one attitude here.
I know. That's right.
Go ahead. So she came to your grocery store.
Yes, she went to my register and she was talking to her friend, and then she received a call, and it was from my boyfriend, and she...
What did you call her for?
Because she called me. I was at work and she called me. I couldn't get to the phone. So I just called her back whenever I could. Like 5 minutes later.
What was the purpose of the call?
Because right now my son is in Mexico with his parents for 2 months, and the only way I can get through with him is by him calling and translating for me, which he stopped all of that, so I haven't talked to my son at all because he won't call for me.
What is your son doing in Mexico?
He went to go visit his great-grandparents with his grandmother
And when do they do back?
next week.
It was very nice of you to let him go.
I know, and this is the things I get.
It was very nice of her to let him go.
Yeah, I didn't think she was going to do it.
But she did.
I'm very thankful.
Very nice, because she had to sign a paper
Okay.
allowing him to go, because in Mexico they have those laws that don't permit you to take a baby
Right.
or a child unless
Right.
both parents go. So she had to sign to let him go. Did you sign with the date that they had to return? What was the date they had to return?
November 10th.
And it says so in the paper that you signed. Is that right?
Yes, either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after.
November 10th.
Right.
Good. When are your parents due home?
November 10th.
They are coming home, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, yes would be the answer.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so she came to your register. There was a phone call. Go ahead.
Yeah, and she was talking on the phone, and I heard when she asked him, "What are you doing after work?" And she said, "Oh, you're picking up your little girl." So when she hung up the phone, her friend asked her what he's doing, so I thought, she's talking to him. And then her friend asked her, "Oh, I can't wait for you to have that baby."
What baby?
I think she's pregnant. I don't know.
Pregnant?
No.
Go ahead. Let's go.
Okay, she said, "I'm going to abort it." And when she was leaving my register, she told me, "Don't tell Danny my business." And I turned around and told her, "I don't care about your business." And then when she was leaving, she started cursing at me, threatening me that she was going to come back at 10 to find me. So,
Okay, and then you went outside and found your car damaged.
yes, and when I got off from work at 9 o'clock, I went to my car and I saw all scratches around the car and 4 flat tires. I called the police, they came, and then my boyfriend received a call from her admitting it that she did
Did
damage
you
my
receive
car.
a call from her?
I actually called her. She didn't answer, and then she called back.
And what was the conversation? Shh, don't speak. What was the conversation?
The conversation was...
Look at me.
The conversation was just like,
Look at me.
like, whoa, like, did you do anything to Carla's car? And then she's like, no, I didn't do anything to her car. And then I'm like, did you flatten all her 4 tires and scratch all her car? She's like, I didn't do anything. And then she just started being very boisterous, just saying a bunch of stuff I couldn't even understand. And then she was just like, you're lucky I didn't bust all her windows too. And I was just like, wow. And then she just hung up, and I kept trying to call back, like, Deasia, what's the big deal? What happened? What is going on?
And?
And she just wouldn't answer. I even left the messages like, how could you do this? It's just childish.
Did you speak to her?
Yes, I called her and asked her why did she damage my car when I have never done nothing to her. And then she said, you know what, I'm tired of you. You have everything. I'm just sick and tired of you. And you're lucky.
Don't say nothing until I ask you. I'm going to give you a chance.
And you're lucky I didn't pop your windows too. And then she started screaming and arguing, and I couldn't understand her, so I hung up the phone on her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just so happens that you ended up at her register of the 7 registers that are in the
Because her
supermarket.
register was the only one that didn't have a lot of stuff there.
Baloney!
And later today,
She had asked me if I wanted to take a TV, and I told her yes.
Well, who was supposed to pay for it?
I assumed it was going to be a gift.
In the midst of this hostile situation, you thought that she made you a $4,000 gift.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carla Patino claims her boyfriend's ex, Deasia Martin, vandalized her car by keying it.
Okay, now I'll hear you, Miss Martin.
We went to her job, not knowing if she was working or not. Don't know her schedule. Don't know what time she'd be there.
Where do you live?
I live in Chicago on 16th and Michigan.
And how far is that from where Miss Patino works?
It could say 15 minutes.
Now, you and I both know that there, between where you live and where she works, there are other grocery stores where you can shop.
Right, but also...
So I want to know, first thing, why you went to her grocery store. I don't care whether she was working there or not, whether you knew she was working there or not. I want you to explain to me what you were doing in her grocery store.
My friend came and picked me up from work. Actually, I work in Homewood at Taco Bell, and my friend came and picked me up, and she stays in that area. I was with her grocery shopping, and then we went to Fair Play and went shopping. We didn't go up there to start anything.
Just a second, Miss Martin. Let's go back. You knew that Miss Patino worked in that Fair Play.
Right.
How big a supermarket is it?
How big is it?
Yeah.
It's like a normal supermarket.
Big supermarket?
Right.
How many registers are there?
There's 7 registers.
So you went to her supermarket, and just so happens that you ended up at her register of the 7 registers that are in the
Because her
supermarket.
register was the only one that didn't have a lot of stuff there, and we only had a couple of things.
Baloney!
It's not
But
baloney.
listen to me. Baloney. Chicago is a big place. I want you to understand something. When something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. And if I weren't looking for trouble, I would not go out of my way to go shopping at a Pay attention, put on your listening ears before you start with the attitude.
Go ahead.
I would not go to a supermarket where my ex-boyfriend's girlfriend works to go shopping. I would say to my girlfriend, who was going shopping with me, I don't want to go to that Fair Play. That's where Danny's girlfriend works. I don't want to go there because, we don't get along. I want to go someplace else. And if you want to go to Fair Play, drop me off first. But you didn't say that. First you went shopping, and it wasn't a big shopping, because you really didn't need a lot of stuff, because according to you, you chose her register because all you had was a few things. So it wasn't that you were doing a week's worth of grocery shopping and this was the only game in town. And of the 7 registers, you chose her register. Bad form, madam. You get me?
I got it.
Bad form. Now you're going to tell me that you never said to Danny or to her, "You're lucky I didn't pop your windows out." You're going to tell me that you said that.
I didn't say that.
Right. And you're going to tell me that you didn't do her flattened tires.
No, I did not.
Well, either you did or your girlfriend did.
I don't know who did.
Well, but you're going to pay for it. So you better try to figure out.
something that
You
I did
better
not do.
absolutely did it.
I didn't do
Because
it
if somebody is dumb enough,
she have any
don't
proof
speak
of-
when I'm speaking. Don't speak when I'm speaking.
She
If
don't have
somebody's
no
dumb enough,
police,
if
staff
somebody,
sanitizers or
hey,
anything.
you see my mouth moving? If somebody is dumb enough in all the supermarkets in Chicago to pick hers, and if somebody is dumb enough of all the registers available to go to her register, then they are dumb enough to take a car that was parked without flat tires several hours before and flatten the tires and scratch the car. And if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. How much did it cost you for the tires?
I have paid for it. It was $2.80 and 11 cents.
And how much did it cost you to fix the scratches on the car?
The scratches, I haven't fixed them. I just got an estimate.
And what was the estimate?
Got 2 estimates.
The lowest one.
$2,127.90.
And what kind of car do you have?
I have 2000 Chevrolet Metro.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all. Step out.
What is our excuse when you step out?
For her to have low self-esteem and let him put everything in her head
She knows that I'm doing good in life, and she's not, and she's jealous.
and make it seem like I'm jealous of him, which I don't want him.
Because, my boyfriend, he's with me because he decided to be with me.
And if I did, I can have him, and I'm being nice enough and giving him up.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Banks versus Robertson. Step forward, please.
Linda Banks is suing her neighbor, Herbert Robertson, for accidentally shooting out her windows with a BB gun. Herbert claims he's a better shot than that.
Miss Banks, Mr. Robertson is your neighbor, and it is your claim that he shot out some windows in your home with a BB gun.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Robertson, while he acknowledges the fact that he was shooting his BB gun, said that A, it's impossible for the gun to have pierced the windows of your house, because it would have to go through a bunch of trees, and B, it would be impossible anyway because he's a very good shot. And he was shooting at squirrels, and he knows that because he's such a good shot, he would not have missed and damaged your property. Those are your 2 defenses. Is that right, sir?
Pretty much.
Tell me where I'm wrong. I like to know where I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, I might miss on occasion.
Oh,
But, like I say, I never shot until they were in front of the big tree, so.
okay. Miss Banks, have you had any trouble with Mr. Robertson before?
Yes, I have.
With what?
About 5 years ago,
Stop playing with that, please. It's
He is-
distracting me, and at my age, nothing should distract me when I'm trying to work. Yes.
approximately 5 years ago, Your Honor, he installed a pool improperly in his backyard, and that pool ruptured, and the water came down my backyard because he lives here and I live here, and approximately 19,000 gallons of water came into my basement. And what I did was I asked him to come over to survey the damage. He did, and his comment was that it wasn't that bad. But because we're neighbors and I tried to handle it civilly, I settled with his insurance company for $1,200, and there was a lot more damage than that, let alone the time. And I asked him to just help me clean it up, and he refused to do that. This time, when I discovered the damage, I said I wasn't going to let it go.
Okay. Since the incident 5 years ago, I assume that the relationship between the 2 of you has been strained.
Yes.
What date were you shooting at squirrels, Mr. Robertson, when Miss Banks came over and told you had damaged her windows?
Oh, she never did.
Who did?
This guy. I mean, I was out in the backyard one day, and he hollers at me and says, you shot my garage window. I said, well, I don't know if I did, but if I did, I'll replace it. He says, don't worry about it. I just wanted you to know about it. And so ever since then, we quit shooting the BB guns.
Well, when was this, sir, that you told him he shot out the window?
It was the 3rd week of July. His son was out shooting and actually shot over top of my head.
How old is your son?
16.
Don't you know that you could hurt somebody with a BB gun?
If you hit somebody, it'd probably sting.
Well, if you hit him in the eye, it could blind him.
Probably could.
If you hit him in the ear, it could make him go deaf.
Probably could.
So why do you do it?
I didn't.
No, why do you let your son play with a BB gun?
Well, I imagine there's probably 40, 50 kids in that neighborhood got BB guns.
I don't give a rat's behind about 40 or 50 kids. I'm asking you, why do you let your son shoot a BB gun?
Because I don't see anything wrong with it. It's my yard. If he wants to shoot a pop can or something in the backyard, that's no problem. This guy's saying he got one shot over his head. I doubt it. How would you know?
Because you can hear it coming through the...
You can't hear a BB.
Mr. Robertson.
Is it like, might I say something?
Yes.
I mean, it's like we're talking about the swimming pool. 19,000 gallons of water didn't go in her basement. I did go and survey the damage. It didn't look that bad.
Went into her basement?
My insurance company took good.
When I'm speaking, you see, you may be able. Is this your wife?
Yeah.
You may be able to interrupt her. Don't interrupt me.
No, I was speaking.
No. But when I start to speak, Mr. Robertson, you have to stop. That's the way we play here.
Okay.
My playpen.
That's fine.
Good. Can I see the damage to your house, please?
Yes, ma'am. I have police reports as well, if you would like to see those.
I would.
And then also I've included estimates.
Good. How many windows?
3 windows, and then the truck windshield.
Well, either you or your son have lousy aim, sir.
Would you mind asking this man if he did agree, that I told him I'd take care of the window, and he said, don't worry about it. I said, would you be aware of it? Because after that date, we never shot anymore.
When you first...
Shh, don't answer him.
It's like rock damage to me. No BB did that.
Yes.
Judge Judy, I would like to add, originally, the first incident he did offer to pay. The second incident was August the 11th, the date of the police report.
And on the second incident, how many windows were shot out?
That's when we discovered the damage of the second additional window pane in the garage, the bedroom window, and then the truck window.
Still have the BB gun, Mr. Robertson?
Yeah.
You still let your son use it?
Like I said, nobody shot it since he said I shot his garage window out.
Well, you don't know that, sir. You do work, don't you? You do work.
No, I don't.
You don't work?
No.
Why not?
I'm disabled.
What's the nature of your disability?
Back. I've had 5 back surgeries.
Really? How can you shoot a BB gun with a bad back?
A BB gun?
Yeah, how can you pick up a BB gun?
Well, how much do you think it weighs?
It's hard to shoot. Well, incapacitating. Seems to be if you could do this, you could sit at a desk and answer a phone.
Well, I'm just saying, I offered to pay for it. He said, don't worry about it. And that was the end of the shooting.
He doesn't want you to know. Listen to me. He doesn't want you to worry about it. He wants you to pay for it. There's a difference.
I offered to pay for it.
Good.
Ask my wife.
Oh, I won't. She has to go home with you. For that, she has my sincere condolences.
And like I said, I thought you were innocent until you're proven guilty.
That's what we just did.
No, you didn't.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. Thank you, that's all.
Don't matter. She ain't listening to
Have a good day.
Why is that excused when they step out?
Hey, I'm glad for the neighbors that they got a new truck window, but I didn't shoot it out.
I have animals. We're out in the backyard, and we should be able to be out there without worrying about possibly our eyes being shot out with a gun.
Powers is suing her son's former friend, 21-year-old Brett Spielman, for slashing 3 tires on her car. Brett denies the charge.
All rise. Yes, case number 468 on the calendar, the matter of Powers versus Spielman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Powers, this is your son? Yes. According to your complaint, your son and the defendant had been friends. Correct. They were out together one evening. There was a falling out. Later that evening, according to you, the defendant slashed 3 of the tires on your car. Correct. You want him to be responsible for replacing them. Mr. Spielman says he didn't do it. What's your first name?
Andrew.
How old are you, Andrew?
23.
How long do you know Mr. Spielman?
I've known Mr. Spielman since about the 7th grade.
On what night were you out together, the night that the tires were slashed?
I believe it was a Friday night. I don't remember the exact
Remember the
date.
night?
29th, I think.
29th of?
December.
Where had you been?
We were on our way to Randy White's brother-in-law's boss's house.
You were driving?
Yes, I was driving.
What happened in the car?
An argument started because Brett Spielman wanted to get some marijuana and everybody else in the car was against that. And
Where did he want to go to get the marijuana?
to his dealer's house.
And Did you know where that was?
No, I did not.
Did he tell you where it was?
No, he did not.
Was it on the way?
I hadn't even agreed to it, so he didn't get to the point of telling me where it was
Well,
at.
tell me exactly what he said.
He said, I want to go get some pot. Can you take me? And I said, no, and nobody else in this car wants to do that. Can you please stop with that altogether?
How many other people were in the car?
2, besides me and Brett.
And who are they?
Randy White and Brandon, his brother-in-law, which I do not know his last name.
So what happened?
So I said no, and he started ranting and raving and basically turned it into an argument with Randy White, and they were going back and forth, and I didn't want to hear it anymore, so I said, please stop, because they didn't get along anyway. So it basically had turned into an argument with them, and I said...
Where was he sitting, in the front or the back?
He was sitting in the front seat, beside me.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we had arrived to Randy's boss's house. We had both got out of the car while Randy and his brother-in-law went upstairs. We were downstairs smoking a cigarette, and it was gonna take a turn to get violent because he was saying threats and all this.
Against who?
Against me.
Why was he threatening you? I thought he was having an argument with Randy.
The argument was with Randy, but I took involvement in it because Randy was a lot smaller than him, and I didn't want it to go there, so I stepped up in Randy's place, and then
And
basically...
what did you say to him?
The focus came on me. I said, you need to stop all this right now or I'm going to make you walk home. And he said, you're not going to make me walk home, this and that.
Had he been drinking?
Have I been drinking?
Had he been drinking?
No, I do not think he had been drinking.
It was just nasty?
Yeah, he was just nasty with me.
Okay, keep going.
And then Randy and his brother-in-law had come back down, and we all got in the car, and I said, I'm going to make him walk home because he's just being too defiant for any of us to deal with.
What did he say when you told him he was going to walk home?
He got even worse, but...
Well, tell me what he said, Mr. Peck.
He was using a lot of cuss words, a lot of profanity, a lot of I'm gonna everybody in that car, and just threats.
And that was on the 29th of December?
Yes.
What time?
I would say it was about 8 p.m.
Okay. Now let's fast forward a little bit, Miss Powers. Tell me about the incident involving your tires. When did that take place?
December 30th.
What time?
I would say around shortly before 10, but not exactly. I don't know.
So tell me what happened.
Okay, it was a very, very stormy night. The wind was blowing and howling, and it was raining a lot. And the dog was circling the front door, and she was like yipping and barking, and she doesn't usually have that kind of behavior at all unless someone's at the door. But I opened the door and nobody was there. She kept doing it. So I opened the door again, and Mr. Spielman was standing on the other side of the car. My driveway comes up where the car is parked directly outside my front door, so I can clearly see it. And I said, what are you doing? Because it's kind of late to be coming over. And I thought he was coming to see my son, and just looked at me, took off.
Didn't say anything to you. Okay, keep going.
The next day I got up to go to work, and I, of course, didn't see the first tire because it was fine. Walked around the car and saw 1, 2, 3 tires flat. And so I called someone to come and take me to get new tires and called into work.
When did you see Andrew?
I saw him later that day.
Do you remember that day, Andrew?
Not too clearly. I remember her saying that 3 of my tires were slashed. Do you have any idea who would do it? And I said, I most certainly have an idea of who did it.
Well, I
Now,
also...
shut up! Okay, don't speak. You said, I most certainly have an idea who did it.
Yes, regarding the incident.
And so you told your mother about the incident.
Yes.
And what did your mother say to you?
And then she said, I seen Brett in our driveway. I was thinking he would come to give you, because at the time she didn't think I was enemies with Brett. And I said, well, that's who did it.
So when you said to her, I certainly do, and then she said to you, I saw
Brett in the driveway. And then we knew right there who it was.
Okay, good.
I just didn't think Brett would have done anything like that to me.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Spielman. Now I'm listening to you.
The statement's completely false.
Listen to me. Let's get to the car on the 29th of December.
Okay, cool. We were in the car.
Look at me. Don't look over there. You're in the car.
We are in the car. We do have a conflicting argument about something. Okay, marijuana. I do what I do on my time away from me.
Let's go slowly. You're in the car and you have an argument. You have an argument about what?
I really cannot even remember. Honestly, don't remember.
You just told me it was about marijuana.
If it was about marijuana, I'm saying I'm not denying that, because I do smoke marijuana on my pastime from time to time.
So that if Andrew says that the argument was about stopping to buy marijuana, that would be
It
accurate.
could have been, but it couldn't have been.
Well, if you don't remember, sir, then I have to credit Andrew's account of the evening of the 29th, because that would seem to be something that you would remember. Where do you live?
Sacramento.
And how far did you have to walk home?
I didn't walk home. See, that's where the story changes. He ended up giving me a ride home.
Did you ultimately give him a
No,
ride?
I did not give him a ride home, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he threaten to leave you stranded?
Yes, he did, but it was raining pretty bad outside, so I kind of negotiated my way to get a ride home.
What do you mean you kind of negotiated?
Well, I said it's kind of raining out and I don't have a coat, and it would keep me kind of messed up. I had to walk home.
You've known this family for a very long time. How old are you now?
21 years old.
Currently on probation?
Juvenile, almost off. I'm going National Guard.
So the answer is yes, you're currently on probation.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been on probation?
Since I was like 17.
Keep going.
Okay, are we still on the 29th or are we on the 30th?
No, we're past the 29th. I credit Mr. Geraldson's account of what happened on the 29th, sir. I believe he told me the truth. I believe you had an argument starting with Randy, ending up with Andrew about your desire to stop at the person who supplies you with marijuana, to get some marijuana, and they didn't want to do it. I'm speaking. And they didn't want to do it, and you became aggressive, and that's what the argument was about. So since you don't remember something that I probably would remember, but something that clearly you don't remember.
It was a year ago.
Well, I would remember, sir, a falling out that I had with a child.
He wasn't a very good friend. He always
Why don't you
bickered.
let me finish my statement, sir? Listen to the statement that I'm going to say to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So is what you're telling me, sir, that you were together with your mother and the rest of your family?
Yes, I am.
And if I were to ask you, you would tell me that your son was home with you?
And later today,
Together off and on suggests to me that when it was off, it was because it wasn't good, right? Yeah. Did you think having a baby was going to make it better?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 23-year-old Andrew Geraldson says his former friend, Brett Spielman, slashed 3 of his tires. Andrew claims his mother witnessed the incident.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Do you know what that means, Mr. Spielman?
Honestly, I do.
Tell me what it means.
It means if I know what happened, I don't have to remember. Look for the answer.
Right. That's what it means. So you're telling me it was over a year ago?
Over a year ago.
I'm speaking. And therefore you can't quite remember everything that happened that evening. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So if you don't remember what happened on the evening of the 29th, which clearly, you're in a car with people, there's a big argument, it's raining very badly, you have to negotiate your way back to the car in order to get a ride home. These are all little smatterings of things that you remember, right? Little smatterings of things that you remember.
Yeah.
You don't remember all of it, but you remember little pieces of it.
Most of it.
You remember most of it.
Yes.
So the argument was about marijuana.
Yes, it was. I feel so.
Perfect. Now that your memory has been refreshed, why don't you tell me about the 30th?
The 30th?
Look at me.
The 30th? Well, my mom can vouch that I was with her.
I don't ask your mom to vouch for anything, sir. I'm asking you.
On the 30th, I was at my residence from 6 o'clock in the night, and I fell asleep on my couch with my entire family with a movie night. The night before New Year's Eve, my mom volunteers in a local social club she's involved in on New Year's Eve, so we always are together on most holidays and that night usually.
Well, just a minute. I don't understand something. Does your mother volunteer her time? I'm speaking!
Well, you are.
Does your mother volunteer her time at a social club, sir, so that she's not home on the 30th, so the rest of your family gets together? Is that what you're just telling me?
No, the night before we all stay together because we're going to be separated on New Year's Eve.
So is what you're telling me, sir, that you were together with your mother and the rest of your family?
Yes, I am.
And if I were to ask you, you would tell me that your son was home with you?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
I have a couple of questions for you. What does he do for a living?
He's going to the National Guard. He's been
So the answer is he doesn't do anything.
He's not working currently, no.
And he's not going to school?
No.
And how long have you permitted that circumstance?
He's only not worked a few months. He's going...
A few months is a very long time for somebody who's 21 years old and on probation. What did he do before a couple of months ago? Who did he work for?
A company called ProLogics.
What kind of work did he do?
Warehouse work.
And why did he leave that job?
They merged with another company and downsized.
So he got fired?
Laid off.
How many children? Did I ask you a question?
No, you didn't, but it's just making me sound worse than I am, you know? Be fair, too.
I don't mind being fair, sir, when people tell me the truth.
I'm honestly telling you the truth.
Oh, no, you're not. The sweat on your brow tells me you're not.
I'm on TV.
Did you see sweat there? Look. You see sweat there?
No.
There, look at your mother. She's sweating. You know why she's not sweating? Because I didn't ask her what happened on the 30th. That's why she's not sweating. If I asked her what happened on the 30th, I guarantee you she'd be, when I got finished with her, she'd be sweating. How much were the tires?
Our tires were popped, too.
I'm not asking you a question.
Have the invoice here.
Can I see it, please?
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
May I submit my receipt for towing?
Absolutely. I'd like to see it, please. So between the towing and the tires, you have $394. Is that right?
Roughly, yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $394. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. You're lucky your probation wasn't violated.
He chose to act as a coward and slash my mom's tires.
A variety of his friends could have done it.
In the future, if he wants to give me back, he can give me back to my face.
We're not really friends anymore. We're kind of falling out.
I've always told my son if you lay down with dogs, you're going to get fleas. He was laying down with some dogs.
Joan Ledbetter is suing the mother of her grandchildren, Jacqueline Snowden, for the return of money she paid for a Pontiac Sunfire. Joan says Jacqueline refuses to give her the vehicle.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 531 on the calendar in the matter of Ledbetter versus Snowden.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Ledbetter, according to your complaint, the defendant is the former girlfriend of your son.
Correct.
They have 2 children together, although they are not married. It is your claim that you purchased a car from her and paid for it. She didn't deliver the car to you, and you want your money back.
Correct.
The defendant says that you never purchased a car from her, that you gave her some money to buy the children Christmas presents because she didn't have any money, and you're their grandmother and you wanted them to have a nice Christmas. So I need some background information. When did you allegedly purchase this car?
The checks were written on the 9th day of December.
December 9th, 2006.
Correct.
And where was Miss Snowden living in December of 2006?
I believe at that time she had already moved out of my home and was living back at her house.
Is that correct?
Which is at her parents'.
No, that is not correct.
When did you move out of the plaintiff's house back into your parents' house?
It was more towards the end of December.
Okay. And while she was living with your son at your house, how many cars did they have?
She had the Pontiac Sunbird, which is the one that...
So he did not own a car, so the only car that she had was the Sunbird.
Correct.
Did Miss Snowden work while she was living at your house?
Yeah, she worked at...
Oh, fine. Where were you working?
The first time I was working at Tumbleweed for over a year, and then...
Tumbleweed is what?
It's a restaurant.
What were you doing?
I was a cashier.
And who watched the children when you were working?
My mother did.
In December of 2006, where were you working?
Pet Boys.
How many days a week?
It depends, sometimes 5, sometimes 6.
And how would you get to work?
My vehicle.
The Sunbird?
The Sunfire. It's a Sunfire.
Sunfire. And what was your boyfriend doing at that time?
He was unemployed.
For how much of the year previous in 2006 was he unemployed?
Most of the year. Ever since our first child was born, even when I was dating him before the children was born, he hasn't had a job.
Why not?
Because his mother helps him out.
Why wasn't he working?
Because I've enabled him, because...
Okay,
both
that's
of them
enough.
Okay.
Don't say anymore.
Okay.
So she was the one who was working?
Yes.
And what would he do all day?
I don't know. I was working also. So what he
well,
was
the
doing...
children
for
were
sure,
being taken care of by her mother.
Correct.
While she was working.
Correct.
Your son wasn't working.
Correct.
So why wasn't he taking care of his children?
I don't know. He didn't want to. He didn't have the patience to take care of his children.
All right, Miss Ledbetter. Now you can tell me about this story about how you bought this car, this only mode of transportation that she has to get to work.
Okay. What she told me initially was that she had a van. I don't know how she got a hold of this van. I don't know for sure. But that it needed a transmission, and she really needed the van because of the 2 children. So Jackie wanted to get this van fixed, and she said she needed $500 for the transmission, which is what the van needed. So the agreement was I would purchase the Sunfire. I thought initially it was for $1,000. The kids told me on the 9th when we sat down to do this that I had agreed for $1,000 in addition to the $500 that she needed for the transmission. So she was going to get the transmission fixed on the van. The Sunfire, Sunbird, whichever, was overheating.
Her father is a certified mechanic, so he was going to get that fixed for us. That's why I didn't take possession of it right away. And I also knew that she needed a vehicle to be able to get back and forth to work.
Okay, let me see the 2 checks.
So I wrote initially for $1,000 because I thought that was the agreement. Then I rewrote another one. She asked me that night if I had any cash that I could give her. So I wrote her another check for $400, and I gave her $100 in cash. So the total for the car was $1,500. And she was to get the car fixed and to have Christmas money. That would also enable her to have Christmas money.
Okay, and then her father didn't fix the car, and she and your son had a falling out.
Correct.
Okay, let me hear your story.
Okay, the day of that, she had given me a check for $1,000 and a check for $400. She knew that her
Don't tell me what she knew. Just tell me about the checks.
About the checks.
Don't look down. Look here.
They were supposed to be because her son has not paid child support since the day those kids were born.
Just doesn't make any sense. Just a second. You're living in his mother's house with him. He doesn't have to pay child support. He doesn't have to pay child support.
What I was saying, he wasn't paying anything for these
He's
kids.
not paying anything. You 2 of you are living together. He's not going to pay you anything. Listen, you chose, young lady, to not only make 1 baby with somebody that doesn't work, who's a bum, but make 2 babies with somebody who doesn't work as a bum. I asked you a simple question. I asked you about these 2 checks, so don't tell me what she knows. Just tell me about the conversations that you had with her.
The reason why she gave me the checks.
Don't tell me the reason, tell me about the conversation. I said to her, but she said to me.
Okay, she said, here, this is a gift for you and your children because I know you are struggling because it's hard. You got to get them food, everything like that. She knew it was around Christmas time. She wanted to see the kids get presents from me, have food, have diapers, have formula, and that kind of stuff. So she said, here's this. This is a gift to you. She had never said that I had to pay her any type of money back.
I would believe you with regard to one of these checks, not both. Madam, listen to me carefully.
Yes.
If she would do that, she would have written you 1 check for $1,400, not 2 checks, one for $1,000 and one for $400. That doesn't make sense. And if something doesn't make sense, it's not true. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now let's try your story over again. Because part of this, I believe, is a gift. Part of it.
Well, I didn't understand why she gave me 2 checks.
Well, didn't you ask her?
No.
They're both made out to the same account. They're both from the same bank.
But wouldn't there be a memo if it was for a car?
No.
Or anything like that? Why
Not necessarily. There's not a memo. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say gift. It doesn't say car. It doesn't say anything.
Your Honor, I didn't feel like I had to put anything on there.
I didn't ask you any question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have receipts here
For what?
for showing for the food that I have bought my children.
Who cares? They're your children. Who's supposed to feed them? Who's supposed to feed them?
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? Who's supposed to feed him? Bird, he's got his own children to feed. Me, I got a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren. You make babies, you gotta feed them. And if you make babies with a bum who doesn't work, then you have to feed them. That's what you do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The children haven't seen their grandmother. That's not good for grandchildren.
I have a
Do I look like I need help from you? I read your case.
And later today,
2 days before that is when I had called the police because he had violently choked me and put me on the couch, so I got really scared and I had called the police.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joan Ledbetter claims the mother of her grandchildren, Jacqueline Snowden, owes for the return of money she paid for a Pontiac Sunfire.
Now, what happened with the car?
The car was never fixed. The car was never turned over. There was another issue that arose between her and my son. I was outside of a courthouse with her trying to discuss this issue with her. Her new boyfriend was there. I offered to even allow her to come work off part of it. She would not accept my phone calls.
Well, at this point, she left your house because she and your son had a falling out.
I understand.
You have a new boyfriend?
That is not the only reason why we had left the house. It is because their house had caught on fire. They took the spouting off the front of their house to where the water had leaked into the house. There is water coming down at the walls. The father of the kids started, puking up blood, spitting up blood, all signs of black mold. I didn't want my children in that environment.
Fine. You're entitled to move out.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, that's what I was saying.
But there was also an incident involving the boyfriend. You called the police on him.
What, for the $80 that he stole out of my car?
That's why you were in front of a courthouse, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he stole $80 out of my vehicle.
He was not found guilty of that charge.
When?
I can't remember the day, but I got when they had paid me.
Was it after you moved out of his mother's house?
Yes.
Fine. Did he pay you back the $80?
We had to go through court to get the $80
Did you get
back.
the $80?
Yes, ma'am.
From him?
I don't know who had written the check. It's from the attorney.
So they made restitution. So he wasn't found guilty, but somebody made restitution.
Yes.
Well, same thing.
Yes.
Gotta stop covering for him, Miss Ledbetter.
I agree with that, but I also know that Jackie is a liar, and
There's no question she's a liar.
Okay.
Listen to me.
All right, I got it.
No question she's a liar. We've got the mother of your 2 grandchildren, who she may fib, which she did here a little bit, but she also was the hardworking member of the family.
I agree.
Your son was the bum in the family. Not only was he a bum, but he stole money from the mother of his children. He stole money from her because he repaid it, or you repaid it. And if you're telling me you repaid it, then you are more of an enabler than you should be.
No, I'm not going to tell you that at all. But what I'm saying is he was not found guilty of the theft because she told him to get in the car to get it, to go do something with it. And I know I'm splitting hairs here, but she got mad because it's a long story. And
She
I
got
don't really
mad
wanna get
because
into
what?
it.
Are you, just think, before you're answering me, are you making an excuse for him?
Probably. But I do believe that she told him to get the money out of the car.
Maybe, and maybe he took the money out of the car and then misappropriated it.
That's what happened.
Fine.
There we go.
Listen,
That's a
if
good
you
way to
say
put
to
that.
somebody, would you please take the $80 out of my car and go and buy the children formula and Pampers, and he takes the money out and go puts it on OTB, he's stolen it.
Okay.
He's stolen it. Now, I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what misappropriating it is.
Got it.
He took it with permission to use for one thing, it was her money, and he used it on something else. Whether he bought drugs with it, OTB, or whatever, went out drinking with his friends. Who cares? He stole it. Gotta stop covering for him.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
Miss Snowden.
Yes, ma'am.
When you lived with Miss Ledbetter, did she help you with the children? So you're talking to me.
Some of the times.
That's all. Some of the time, listen, she didn't bargain to be the mother of 2 little tiny children. That was you and the boyfriend. What's his name?
Justin.
That was you and Justin who made these 2 children. So if she was helpful part of the time, that's fine. And she let you live with Justin and your 2 children in a house for a couple of years. Did you pay for the telephone? Did you pay the electricity? Did you pay the water? Did you pay the insurance? Did you pay for nothing?
I was in and out over the past 2 years, not
Whatever,
necessarily.
but that means you're unstable. What I'm suggesting to you is your children have 2 sets of grandparents. And from what I gather from Miss Ledbetter, because of all the acrimony that exists now between the 2 families, the children haven't seen their grandmother. That's not good for grandchildren.
I have a
Do I look like I need help from you? I read your case. I'm just telling you, from the perspective of somebody who was in the family court for many, many years, from the perspective of somebody who has children, children thrive on the largest possible community of love and affection, and that means grandparents.
I agree with you, but the reason why I usually don't let her watch the kids unless I am present, but I don't want them in that house, is there are several biohazards that have used needles. And
They don't have to go to the house.
I've invited them to our house, but they do not want to come to our house.
She has a trespass. My son.
Listen to me. We're not talking about your son.
Okay.
I read your petition. Your case says that unfortunately you're pursuing grandparents' visitation now in court. And what I'm telling you now is you just said the wrong thing to me. You said your son has a no contact order, so he can't go to the house. I'm not talking about your son. He's a bum. I'm talking about you. She says you're welcome in her mother's house to come and see the grandchildren. Are you prepared to go to her house to
I
see
am prepared to do whatever I need to do
Could
to
she come?
see
Could
her,
she?
to see my grandchildren.
She, not he. Could she come to your house to see the grandchildren?
Yes, and she can speak with my mother.
No. I don't care about your mother. I'm talking to you. You're old enough to make 2 babies. You're old enough to make a statement. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she would like to make arrangements to come and see the children on a day when she's not working at your home. You have no objection to her coming to your home to visit with the grandchildren. Perfect. So that it's just a matter of the court setting a time. Correct? Answer.
Yes, ma'am.
You owe Miss Ledbetter $1,000. That's for the car. $500, I am assuming, was a gift. That's what I'm finding. The $400 check, the $100 in cash was a gift. If you are pursuing your visitation in court, we will make a copy of this tape available to you. She has already consented to you coming to the home and visiting the children, whether it's once a week or once every other week. You'll have to work out the scheduled time, but you can't take the children back to yours because it has nothing to do with your son. It only has to do with you and your grandchildren, okay?
Okay.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Parties are excused, Mr.
She wants to see the grandchildren. I haven't let her see the grandchildren.
She's got a new boyfriend who was in court the second time when she took my son to court.
Because their house is not proper for kids to be in.
I called him a not too nice word for an anus, and she's been angry with me ever since.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hyman versus Wilson, come forward.
Novlet Hyman is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, Cheryl Wilson, for an emergency room bill. Novlet says Cheryl's daughter, Mecca, viciously attacked her daughter.
Miss Hyman, it is your claim that Miss Wilson's daughter and niece assaulted your daughter in school. You took her to the emergency room, and you want Miss Wilson to cover the costs of the emergency room visit. Miss Wilson says that your daughter was the aggressor, that her daughter was merely protecting herself and acting in self-defense, and therefore she's not going to pay anything. Which of these two little girls was the child who was injured?
Tatiana.
That you? Tatiana, would you come up here, please? Hi. How old are you?
10.
Do you know these two girls?
Yeah.
Who are they?
One of them used to come to my school in 1st and 2nd grade, and Monica still comes to my school now.
Who's Monica? That's you. You know the other girl's name?
Yeah.
What is it?
Mecca.
Mecca? Do you know how old they are?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
11.
Are they friends of yours? Did you ever play together?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember the day that you were injured?
Yes.
Would you tell me what happened?
Okay, I usually pick up my sister and my cousins and wait for my mother in the front office to come and pick us up from school. Well, this evening, as I was going back into the school, somebody tapped me on my shoulder and asked me if my name was Tatiana. And I turned around and I answered yes. And she said, my cousin told me that you call me ugly. So I said, I barely even know you. Why would I call you ugly? So when I was turning around to walk back in, she slapped my glasses off my face and punched me in my eye.
And which girl did that?
Mecca.
Raise your hand. Did you go to the doctor?
Yes, ma'am, the next day.
Did you have a black eye?
No, it was a bloodshot. And it was swollen right here.
And your glasses got broken?
Yeah, they did.
Now, this little girl, did she do anything to you?
No, ma'am.
It was Mecca?
Yeah.
Okay. Sit down. Up here. How old are you, Mecca? 11?
Yes.
You know Tatiana? You want to tell me what happened? Look at me.
Alright, so my grandma we came to pick up my cousin Monica.
Did you pick Monica up?
Yeah.
And what happened when you picked Monica up?
She told me that, like,
look at me.
She told me, she said, that's the girl that called you ugly and was like, you stupid or whatever.
And what did you do?
I went to her and I tapped on her shoulder and I asked her, are you Tatiana? And she said, yes, is there a problem? I said, no. I said, I just wanted to ask you a question.
You had this whole conversation with her? Yeah, go ahead.
So then she was like, after I said that...
Look, no, don't look down there. Look here.
After I told her that, she put her hand in my face and mushed me and said, get out my face.
She did that?
Yes. So then I pushed her back and then she did it again and then that's when I hit her.
You think I believe that? I don't. I don't believe that this little girl is about a foot shorter than you are. Put her hands on you first. I don't believe it. If something in this world doesn't make sense, it's because it's usually not true. I mean, if you stood up next to her, who would be much bigger?
Me.
Right. Step down. Oh, by the way, before you step down, stand up. Step right over there.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't
Sit
go
down. Sit down. Tatiana, stand next to your mother. You better make sure you answer me truthfully. Did you tell anybody that this young lady was stupid?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell anybody this young lady was ugly?
No, ma'am.
Well, she's certainly not ugly. I don't know if she's stupid or not, but she's certainly not ugly. You, up here.
Miss Instigator, yes.
Who told you that Tatiana called your cousin ugly and stupid? Look at me.
She said that right to me.
Who said it?
Tatiana said that to me.
When did she say it to you?
In the classroom when we
When?
came back from lunch.
Well, tell me about the conversation. What did she say to you? Look at me.
I was talking to my friend. I told her that Mecca got her hair done last night. She looked nice. And then Tatiana approached me and told me that Mecca's ugly and stupid.
And what did you say to her when she said that?
I said, don't tell me that because I'm not Mecca. Tell Mecca that.
How did you think that was going to make your cousin feel?
Mad.
Mad. So why did you tell her?
She said tell her. She said, go ahead and tell her.
You're making it up as it's going along. No. Yes, you are. You're making up the story as you're going along. Go over there and sit down. Can I see the emergency room bill, please? You have choices. If you're going to make bad choices, the only one who's going to suffer is you. Bad choices are made when you use your hands. Bad choices are made when you respond to somebody, even if they say something that is unkind, with physical force. That's what separates lovely young people from bums. Bums use their hands. Bums react violently. Your mother doesn't want to think that she's spending all this time and energy raising you to be a bum. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $969.85. That's all.
I was very angry at the time that, another child would do this to my child.
She shouldn't raise her hands and fight. You would make a better decision.
She says to me, my daughter was very wrong for doing this to your child, and I'm sorry, but we'll do what we have to do.
I was sorry for what happened, but I didn't have any money to pay anybody.
If you want to talk about me, if you want to say stuff about me, then I'm going to solve it right then and there.
Well, I think it shouldn't have happened. Nobody should have called nobody ugly. And even if I did, I'm really sorry. And all of this shouldn't have happened.
I think it was a little bit wrong.
Children have to learn how to talk a little more, not fight.
We all should just get along.
Dora Spicer and her mother claim Dora's ex-boyfriend, Leonard Kiwi, owes for a loan and the return of belongings. Leonard is countersuing, claiming Dora doesn't let him see his kids.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 519 on the calendar in the matter of Spicer Waters versus Kiwi. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who's Miss Waters? Miss Spicer, this is your former boyfriend, and you have 2 children with him. Is that right?
Yes.
How long have you been together?
We were together a little over 5 years.
How old are you now?
21.
And how old are you?
24.
So you were 19, you were a baby.
I was 16 when we got together.
And how old are your children?
3 and 16 months.
According to your complaint, things in the relationship went south. You were going to bartend at a party. Mr. Kiwi came to the party. He didn't like the way you were dressed. He thought you were being flirtatious. You even went so far as to wear makeup. There was an altercation, and you left.
Yes.
Him.
Yes.
Took the children, and you went to your mother's?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he refuses to return your personal property.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And that personal property, you're talking about your clothing?
Yes.
And your children's clothing?
Yes.
What else?
My daughter's TV and DVD player that my mom bought her for Christmas.
Your daughter, who's 3 years old, got a TV and a DVD player?
Yes.
Get over it. Now, Mr. Kiwi, let's deal with this one thing at a time, sir. Do you have her clothing?
No, I allowed her to come over on an agreement. On December 23rd, they agreed to me that I wouldn't call the police on them, that they could come over. And
what happened to her clothing?
She came and got it with her mother and stepfather.
What about the children's clothing?
She took some of it, but basically almost all of it, and left me with like a couple pairs of clothes that don't even fit them.
Did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I didn't get all of my clothes. I still had some clothes there, and I didn't take all the kids' clothes. There's still clothes in totes in the garage that fit the girls.
Just a second. He's their father. Who bought the clothes?
He did. My mom did. His mom did. His sister did.
Well, you can't take all the clothing.
I don't want all the clothes.
You took some.
Yes.
Good. So, and some he has.
Yes.
Now, your clothing.
Yes, I have a few pairs of jeans over there, some more shirts over there.
You're talking about nonsense. You're talking about little stuff. What are you suing him for? I mean, I don't get it. You were together 5 years. We're not talking about a couple of pairs of jeans, madam.
No, but they're mine. I should be able to get them.
Well, do you have her jeans?
I found one pair of jeans that was in the dirty clothes, and that's
All right,
the only reason she
so
didn't
pack
take
it up and get it over to her.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to your mother. I can't stand to deal with nonsense. You say that you loaned him $1,000 to fix his truck.
Yes.
When?
It was September 12th
What year?
of 2006.
Did she give you $1,000 to fix your truck?
You know, she found a gentleman who at a bar who works on vehicles, and at first I was going to sell my Explorer to him, parted it out.
Did
but then
you
he
pay
said,
$1,000 to have your truck fixed?
yes, and but
Okay. Now it is your defense to that
yes.
that you had loaned her $3,000 a year before.
Well, I took out a loan for $3,000 because I was $1,000 behind on rent, so I paid $1,000 on rent, and I gave her $2,000 so their house would not be foreclosed on because they've took out like 4 mortgages on their home.
When did you give her the $2,000?
Before the Explorer was fixed.
Do you have any proof of that?
The only thing that I would have had was be like from my bank that say I paid off the loan, but unfortunately I didn't bring that because that's not paid off yet.
Okay. Tell me how it came about that you gave her the $2,000. Tell me about it.
Dora
you know, I'm
was-
a good judge of what's true
Dora
and what's
was
not.
crying and stuff, and I felt sorry for him because I thought we were family then, but I can see I guess we're not. And I was just being nice and helping him
No, tell
out.
me how she came about. Did she come to you and tell
No.
you she needed the money?
No, she spoke to Dora, and Dora was telling
Dora,
me about it.
look at me. When was it that your
It
mother fell? Look at me. I didn't finish the question yet. When did your mother fall behind in her mortgage payments?
It was back in 2005, and he did loan her $2,000, but it wasn't from a loan. It was with his 2005 income tax.
I don't care what it was from.
2006.
Your mother said it was 2006.
It was 2006.
So, how much money did you receive from him?
$2,000, and it was paid back in monthly payments of $500 a month, starting with the month of April and ended in the month of August.
Show me.
I gave it to Dora, and they paid their rent with it.
She gave me cash.
This was never brought up about the $2,000. This was prior. We had borrowed the money from him, and I only got 1 mortgage on my house. I don't have 4 mortgages.
Whatever, you have 4 mortgages, you have 1 mortgage. He loaned you $2,000. When?
It was in March.
March of what year?
2006.
And what month did she fix the truck? September of 06.
Yes.
And how much did you pay him back, according to you?
I paid him $500 a month for 4 months, starting in the month of April. It was originally agreed that we were going to start paying in May the $500, but they were low on money at the time and stuff, so I started paying the money back in April. I paid them back $500 in April, $500 in May, $500 in June, and $500 in July.
Did she pay you back any of the money?
Not all of it.
How much did she pay you back?
I'm not sure she'd give the money to Dora like she'd say, and then Dora would say that she was paying us, but I didn't see any of the money.
In what month did your mother give you the first payment of $500?
Around the 3rd of April because we didn't have our rent money.
And when did she give you the second payment?
Towards the end of May because we spent it on my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
End of May. And when did she give you the third payment?
Sometime in June, I don't know when. And last payment, I guess sometime in July. I don't remember the exact date, but she paid us back. And that's why she made the agreement to fix the Explorer for us because we were down on money then.
Tell me how it came about that you paid this $1,000 for him.
My daughter had called me. Scott also has a Ford Escort.
Just tell me, your daughter called you and what?
Their Ford Escort was broke down. Scott did not have transportation to go to work. She was upset because she didn't want him to lose his job because the Escort was broke down. I loaned him some money to help for parts on that, and then I said that I would pay for the Explorer to be fixed so that they would have 2 cars that were running, because at that time Dora was trying to find a job so she could make income also. So I loaned him the money. I have a gentleman that I work where I work.
Listen to me. You have no contract with him. If you had any contract at all, it was with your daughter. Just because they're no longer together, which is what's happened, just because they're no longer together, doesn't mean that you come to court and you claim things that really aren't so.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you see your children now?
every now and then. And when I go over there to see my kids, her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt, so I got ex partes against them.
And later today,
Darian, I want you to come up here and sit up here and talk to me. Trouble. A handful.
Yes, thank you. I do know that.
A handful.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 21-year-old Dora Speicher and her mother, Brenda Waters, are suing the father of Dora's children, Leonard Kiwi, for a loan to get his car fixed, the return of belongings, and pain and suffering.
Sounds to me as if he wasn't totally a bad guy. A little controlling, perhaps. You know you're a little controlling, Mr. Kiwi.
Yeah.
But doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. He thought you were all family. He gave you $2,000 from his tax returns when you needed it. He didn't even ask to see the return of the money. You say you gave it to your daughter. She did whatever she wanted to do with it. She paid bills, she paid the rent, she did everything. She never showed it to him. And he was the only one working, right? So he was making a family. Just because they're no longer together and things aren't good anymore doesn't mean that you come to court over a pair of jeans that was in the laundry and fixing the truck so that your daughter would have a car and the boyfriend would have a car. She never got now. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have other things to do today. You have a counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, your counterclaim says that you don't see your children.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
That's for a different court, sir. Are you in another court about seeing your children?
Yes.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then, but it's a very big hassle because they will not take my children to the designated spot because it is not in writing. So since it's not in writing, they make me go to their house and they know I cannot go over there because I have an ex parte. And when I go over there to see my kids, they call the police. Her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt. So I got ex partes against them as well. Her mother and stepfather.
What arrangement? Uncross your arms. What arrangements have you made for Mr. Kiwi to see his children? Don't look over there.
We have called him, and my sister calls him at work because I can't speak to him. Calls him at work, tells him to meet my dad up the road at a store called Clyde's. He always makes an excuse that his car's broke down. He doesn't have gas. He can't get to where it is. So my dad drives to Steve's, a gas station that's closer to him, and drops off the girls.
When was the last time he saw the children?
2 weeks ago. He's supposed to get them this weekend.
And before the last visitation, when was the last time he saw the children?
2 weekends before that.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to deal with the courts about that, Mr. Kiwi. You understand that?
Yes.
I suggest that you get whatever you need in writing, get it in writing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. This case is going to be resolved this way. I want you to go into the laundry and I want you to get her pair of jeans that she left there, put it in an envelope and mail it back to her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Other than that, the case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Why's their excuse when they step out?
He has tons of guns, and he had pulled them, threatened to shoot me before.
I never threatened to kill her with no guns.
If I would do my hair and makeup, I was trying to sleep with everybody.
Well, she had never worn makeup before ever in her life.
I told him I wasn't, but he didn't believe me.
And then she started wearing it to go to an to bartend a party. What's that telling you?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Plaza versus Kaplan. Step forward.
Car salesman Gadiel Plaza is suing former customer Kelly Kaplan for money she used on a down payment for a car. Kelly says Gadiel has been stalking her.
Mr. Plaza, you met the defendant when she came into the place where you work to purchase a car. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it is your claim that you made a loan to her for half of the down payment on a car when she prevailed upon you to do that because she was in dire financial straits. You want that $500 back. In addition, she caused you, really, according to you, to be fired from your job.
That is correct.
Just for my own information, where's the car?
It's in my possession, ma'am.
So you have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Plaza, how long had you worked for this company?
Approximately a month and a half.
Before Miss Kaplan came in?
That is correct.
Would you tell me of the date she came in?
She came in on June the 10th.
Tell me about it.
Mrs. Kaplan came in on an appointment she had, and I was the salesperson who helped her. Upon picking a vehicle out of our inventory, while we were processing her financing forms, she broke down and began to cry. And I asked her, what's the matter? She said she felt bad because she was given a car, her car was getting repossessed and all that. So I asked her, then don't buy the car. It's okay. There's no pressure to buy the car. She made a couple phone calls and came back and decided we look for a different car, a less expensive car. So when we found another car, we had the same problem. She broke down again and she started to cry. And, I called my supervisor. He came over and talked to her a little bit. She agreed to buy the car. When it was discussed on the financial terms of the loan, we told her she needed to put down $1,000 to obtain this loan.
Okay, now that is agreed so far, Miss Kaplan. There
Yes,
was a $1,000 down payment that was required for this car that you still have in your possession. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
That's correct.
But you did not give him $1,000.
No, ma'am.
You gave him $500.
Correct.
And when were you supposed to give him the other $500?
I was supposed to give the dealership the other $500 on the 30th of June when I was paid.
And did you take the car out of the dealership around the 10th of June?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, well, that was very nice of them to let you take the car out without a full deposit.
Yes, ma'am, but it's not an unpracticed term in buying cars that people split up their down payments.
Listen to me. I've purchased cars. I didn't split up my down payment. Before they let me take a car out, I had to give them the whole down payment. That's my understanding of cars.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay, so far, she's shy $500. Tell me what happened, Mr. Plaza.
Company policy, the customer's supposed to bring the remaining...
Just tell me what you did.
On the date that the rest of the down payment was due, my manager...
Which was what date?
Which was 7 days after the 10th, the 17th.
Okay, 6/17. Manager came in and said, where's the other deposit?
Correct. I called Miss Kaplan to find out. Couldn't get through to her. I, as a salesperson, am responsible for collecting all monies on the down payment.
So you laid it out for her?
Right. I asked her if, she could come in and pay the difference, and she said that no, she wouldn't have it till the 30th.
Okay, on the 30th, Miss Kaplan, what happened?
Can I back up a moment, Your
No.
Honor?
No.
On the 30th, the money had already been paid by Mr. Plaza to
Correct.
the dealership.
So why didn't you give Mr. Plaza his $500 back?
I did not ask him to pay that money.
Who cares whether you asked him or not? That was your arrangement. Why didn't you give him back the $500 that he laid out of his own pocket?
I did not ask him to do that, and he had been harassing me, and I was uncomfortable with that. I called the corporate office, had filed a complaint with them, and they dismissed me of any obligation to them.
Well, I gotta tell you something. You are not a very nice person. You're a hustler. You're a hustler. I don't know how many people you've hustled before, but you're not gonna hustle me. You got a car, and the deal for the car was a certain price, $1,000 deposit, the rest in payments. And it seems to me if you want him to stop harassing you, that on the 30th of June, you give him the $500. Instead of giving him the $500 on the 30th of June, you called the corporate office and had him fired. You're outrageous. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Why did Judge Judy make that out?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. Some get clever.
What's the story? Who's sticking to it?
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Others get hostile.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Judge Judy gets the last word.
They don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me here because I'm smart.
Obviously, her case didn't have a leg to stand on.
I did not ask for him to pay the money. I don't feel I owe him the money.
I came here to tell the truth, tell my side of the story.
I did not ask him to do that for me.
I think justice was served.
26-year-old Jamie Markle is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jeff Peters, for medical bills resulting from several assaults. Jamie claims Jeff beat her up because he thought she was cheating.
Now this is case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Markle versus Peters.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Your complaint is that this gentleman, who used to be your boyfriend, assaulted you on 2 occasions.
Yes.
You want him to be responsible for those medical bills.
Yes.
The assaults took place around Christmas time, 2005, and the second one, according to you, about a month later?
About a month, yeah.
In January. Now, I read Mr. Peters' response very carefully, and he says that he sort of acknowledges the first assault, but certainly not the second. And he says that the second time you had him falsely arrested, and the first time that you vandalized his car. So he's counterclaiming. So let's start out with Christmas.
Okay.
Christmas 2005, how long had you been a couple?
Well, we met online the beginning of August of 05.
Okay, so about
4 or 5 months, yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Well, everything was great. He was the best boyfriend I ever had.
Just give me Christmas.
Christmas came and went. It was about the 28th of December, and we had been broke up off and on for about a week. And I had gone with a friend of mine over to her house, and he thought that I went and cheated on him because I went to a poker party with some of my girlfriends. And he just didn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe a word I said. But we were separated at the time, so even if I had done something, which I didn't, he wouldn't accept that. It's none of his business. Exactly. But he would not accept that. So we got into a big argument.
Where?
Well, he picked me up from work at 9 p.m.
And you went with him?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was my ride.
So even though you were no longer together as a couple, he was still picking you up from work?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was staying with him. I didn't have anywhere else to stay. So he picked me up from work, and on the way home, I could tell something wasn't right, so I just kind of kept to myself because we weren't boyfriend, girlfriend anymore. We were supposed to just be friends. So I figured if he had something to tell me, he would just tell me. And next thing I know, he's punching me in the left side of my face, and he just kept repeating that I know you slept with another guy. I know you slept with another guy. He demanded to know the name and so on and so forth, and I had not done anything. I didn't have a name to give him.
So what happened?
So he took me to this cul-de-sac somewhere. It was on the way in between work and home. I was really disoriented from him hitting me. I didn't really know exactly where we were, but all I know is that it was completely dark. There was no street lights. He took me out of the car, grabbed me by my neck, and held me. Held me up and choked me so hard that I started to black out, and I just kind of gave up because I was screaming, and I there was nobody around. There was no lights, no buildings, no nothing. So I guess when I stopped struggling, he let me go and I fell to the ground, and he said, get in the car. So I got in the car, and he said, well, when we get home, you're not going to cause a scene, you're not going to do anything, or I'll shove a knife through your face so fast that nobody will hear you.
What happened when you got home?
When we got home, I told him that I was going to walk to the hospital. I didn't want him to take me anywhere, and he blocked the door. He wouldn't let me out, so I tried to go to the fire escape door, and he came up behind me, and at the entrance of the kitchen, he pushed me in my back. And he pushed me so hard that my hands hit the door, and then my face hit, and I had to have 5 stitches put in my chin. It split open right away. I didn't know what had happened until I got downstairs to my neighbor's house and I saw blood.
When you left the hospital, and I assumed that was the next day, where did you go?
I went with my mother.
You went home to your mother's house?
Yes.
When you fell, who took you to the hospital?
My mother.
And what did you do, Mr. Peters?
I went to the bar.
Yes.
And that's about it. I figured the police were on their way, so I boogied down the fire escape and ran up the street to the bar.
Well, how did her face get cut like that?
I'm not denying that she did fall onto the door, but I was kind of trying to beat her to the door and hold it shut, because she was screaming bloody murder, and I didn't want the cops to come. So I kicked her feet.
You tripped her?
Yeah, basically.
That's what you say in your answer.
Yeah.
You tripped her?
And she fell right and hit the door and split her chin open. Once I seen blood and she started screaming, I figured the cops would be there real quick, so I basically bounced.
What a prince.
Thank you.
That didn't require an answer, smarty pants. And when you got home that evening from the bar is when you found your car vandalized.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any proof that Miss Markle did that?
My witness wouldn't come.
So that the answer is, Judge, I have no proof
Judge,
that she
I have
did
no proof. I'm assuming it didn't do that on its own now.
Things happen. Never know who would do such a thing to a prince like you. Leaves his girlfriend bleeding in the house and takes off and goes to a bar. Things happen. So that part of your counterclaim is dismissed because you have no proof. Now, do you have medical bills from the hospital?
Yes, I have medical bills, and I have police reports.
From the 28th?
I don't have a police report for the 28th. I didn't file a report for the 28th. I told him that if it happened again, I would press.
I don't want to hear it. It happened again. You should have gone to get him at the bar, taken him into custody, taken him to jail, let him cool off.
I understand. Right? That is what happened the second time.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not deny that I called her house and threatened to blow it up. It was not very cool, but, I've just been arrested twice in one day, and I was very upset.
And later today,
you still owe her $1,002, sir.
There were months where I gave her cash for rent.
It's too bad. That comes as the category of too bad.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Markle claims ex-boyfriend Jeff Peters assaulted her on several occasions. Jeff is countersuing for a false arrest and for vandalism to his car.
Okay, now you're at your mother's house, Miss Markle. Now we come to the genius in you. So tell me about what brought you to this man's company a month later in January.
Well, he kept calling my mother's house, and I would block every number he called from, and he would somehow go to another payphone or something and call me again. He kept apologizing over and over again, saying how sorry he was, how much he wanted to be my friend at least. And so I thought, okay, well, if we can be friends, then I would like to be his friend other than his enemy.
Why?
Because I didn't want to be his enemy, Your Honor.
You don't have to be anything. You know, I look out here in the gallery in this courtroom, and I see a lot of people, and I'm not their friend, right? I'm also not their enemy. I am their nothing.
Right.
You don't have to have him as an enemy if he's not your friend. You can have him as a nothing.
That's not an option with him, Your Honor.
Oh, it's an option, Rob. Trust me. He's going to get used to being a nothing. All right, so that's your next mistake. Right. You felt as if you wanted to have him as a friend.
Yes. So he took me to, he gave me a ride to get my taxes done. And on the way there, we were snipping at each other, and he started to wrap a t-shirt around his hand. And I said, "What's that for?" He said, "Because I'm going to hit you if you don't apologize."
Apologize for what?
I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know. So
what did you want her to apologize for, Mr. Peters?
For being manic and bipolar.
So he wanted her to apologize for being manic and bipolar?
Yes. She's being particularly manic that day.
Okay, so that's why you wanted her to apologize. Just wanted to know. Go ahead.
So I apologized, so I didn't get hit, pretty much.
So you said sorry.
I said, "I'm sorry. Genuinely, I apologize. I don't know what I'm apologizing for, but I do."
And
so I really don't remember what exactly happened next, but I do know that in result of that, he pulled into a parking garage and proceeded to hit me in the side of my face again.
Lie.
And so we got to the tax place, and I walked in, and there
what
was
did you say when he hit you?
I was like, "Please stop." I begged him to stop. And so we went ahead and went to the tax gallery. And
why did you go with him to the tax gallery?
Because I wanted to have some way to get a hold of the police.
Okay.
Because as of that moment, I was in a parking garage.
Okay.
And I
so
didn't
you
want to
went
get
with him
left
to the tax
there.
people.
So I went inside, and I saw a young lady on her cell phone, and I mouthed, "Help me." And I had bruises, all over my face. So she went outside and called the police. This is
I'd like to see the police report.
The police reports. There's one for harassment as well. He called my mother's house that night when he got out of jail and threatened to kill me, her, my 10-year-old niece, and blow the house up.
Okay. Now, Mr. Peters, we've already established that you believed, at least, that the plaintiff was responsible for vandalizing your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you had, in fact, assaulted her on December 28th.
Stripped her, yes.
The issue is whether you assaulted her again on January 31st. And that incident you deny. So you want to tell me, please, what happened and why you contacted her after you believed she vandalized your car?
I had time had gone by, and I had certain needs.
Like what?
Physical needs. And so I started calling her, sweet talking her, and everything was fine for a couple weeks. And we were seeing each other on and off. And that particular day was a really bad day. Right before this tax incident, I was arrested in another part of the city.
For what?
A guy pulled a knife on me, and I tried to run him over in my car.
Just a minute. You mean a stranger pulled a knife on you
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
tried to run him over?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain that to me, sir.
He just was basically a little case of road rage in the parking lot, and I told him F you, and he pulls out a big knife, and I slammed it in reverse, and I was going to run him over. I did it right in front of an undercover cop, and next thing I know, I'm cuffed and stuffed, and they took me down and booked me, and then released me, and she was nitpicking me, and as we were going, we started, fighting back and forth, and she started pulling my hair, and we were both kind of going at it.
Shh, don't speak.
And it basically came to blows at the parking garage right down the street from the tax place. And, next thing I know, I thought it was over. I was like, okay, we got that out of our system, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and 4 police cars pull up with their guns drawn, obviously thinking I kidnapped her. And I was very, very upset about that. I do not deny that I called her house and threatened to blow it up. apologize about that. It was not very cool, but, you know, I've just been arrested twice in one day, and I was very, very upset.
Mr. Peters, you told the police on that day that the marks on the plaintiff's face was from a week ago when you assaulted her in Kansas.
Yeah, it was, I might have said that.
Well, that's what you said.
I was trying to get out of...
You said. That's what you said. So you were trying to get out of it, and so you lied to the police.
Yes.
Now, when you lied to the police, did you lie to them in the same affect that you're talking to me?
No, not really.
Well, did you lie to them, sir, with the affect of, please don't believe me?
No, I pretty much knew the jig was up. And...
No, I'm asking you a question, sir. I'm asking you a question how one tells when you're telling the truth and when you're lying.
I have no idea. I generally speak the truth.
Well, you lied to the police and...
That's the police. I'll lie to the police any day of the week.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've already been shot.
Well,
stabbed 3 times.
Doesn't that tell you something?
It's bad karma.
That's not bad karma, sir.
And later today,
when 2 people decide to play house together, yes, work out a financial arrangement that ultimately will not involve the courts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Marco claims ex-boyfriend Jeff Peters assaulted her on several occasions. Jeff is countersuing for a false arrest and for vandalism to his car.
I think you have some psychological problems, Mr. Peters. That was a question. It usually requires an answer.
I didn't hear the question part.
I said, do you think you have psychological problems, Mr.
Anger
Peters?
problem. So,
You have
yeah.
an anger... Okay, well, that's a good start, sir. It's a good start. What are you doing to address those problems?
Nothing.
That's not smart. You're 31 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody's going to kill you, or you're going to kill them.
I've already been shot.
Well,
stabbed 3 times.
But, Mr. Peters, doesn't that tell you something about a deficiency that you have?
It's bad karma.
That's not bad karma, sir. Karma doesn't follow you around, Mr. Peters.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't, sir. People create their own opportunities and people create their own situations. So you have a choice, Mr. Peters. Your choice is to either wind up in some alley because you've ticked off the wrong person and somebody is going to shoot you, and this time they're going to have better aim, or stab you and going to have a long enough knife to do some real damage, permanent damage, or you'll do it to somebody else, which will end up by you spending a substantial part of your life in prison. So, you have an opportunity to try to rectify that before it gets any worse. Miss Markle, listen to me, my dear. Is there something wrong with your mind?
No, not that I know of.
Well, here's bad news. Very, very, very bad news. And there comes a point where women have to understand that just being a bad boy is not attractive.
I understand.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
I certainly hope so, madam. I don't have the confidence that I wish I had in your judgment. You can either have a happy life or you can continue to be a bum magnet. So, choice is yours. Now, you're asking for $3,000 for these 2 assaults.
This is the second medical bill.
I don't need the second medical bill. I believe that he assaulted you. He acknowledges he assaulted you on 1 occasion. Reluctantly acknowledges that he assaulted you on 1 occasion. There's no question he assaulted you on the 2nd occasion. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just man bashing, plain and simple.
That was the first I'd ever seen of his temper.
I dated a lot of psychos.
I don't want to talk to him ever again. I don't want to see him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Davis, step forward, please.
Rebecca Brown is suing her granddaughter's mother, Crystal Davis, for an outstanding cell phone bill and for the return of her granddaughter's clothes.
Miss Brown, I gather that your son and Miss Davis had a relationship.
Correct.
And that relationship produced a child, a little girl, and you have legal custody of that child.
Correct.
You claim 2 things. You claim that when your granddaughter goes to visit with her mother, or had in the past, her mother kept some property of your granddaughter's that you bought for her.
Correct.
And in addition, you say that she owes you some money for a cell phone that you got for her.
Correct.
I gather that that's some of the property that was at your house?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Could we move that property from one table to the next, please? Is that all the property of your daughters that you have at your house?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I assume, Miss Brown, that you believe that there is more stuff there at the house than just this stuff. I'm not interested. That happens. Where is your son?
My son lives in Virginia.
Well, how often does he see his daughter?
He does not.
Why?
Because he doesn't want to.
Are you in touch with him?
I sent him an email just recently encouraging him to come see his daughter because his daughter made several remarks to me that concerned me as a parent about him. She stated she hates him because he does not love her.
Sounds to me as if you got a lot on your plate.
Yes, I do.
Now, Miss Brown, have you sued your son for child support?
No.
Why not?
Because from the last time I heard he was unemployed because my intentions were to take him to court.
You should.
And I will once I find out that he's working.
You don't have to wait until you find out that he's working. I'm going to tell you why. Because in the courts in this country, you are presumed to be able to take care of your children. And when I sat in the family court, I would say to people, I'm making an order. You go out and find yourself a job, and I don't care if you collect cans at a nickel a can. But you are going to support this child, and if you don't, I'm going to put you in jail. So you're going to have a choice. You're going to go to jail, or you're going to get a job. That's it. Now, let me hear about this phone bill. She got you a cell phone.
Yes.
At your request.
Yes.
And you were supposed to pay the bill.
Yes.
Did you pay the bill?
Yes, I paid her what I used for that phone, which was $102.59.
Why did you get her the phone, Miss Brown?
I gave Crystal the phone, Your Honor, because of her daughter. Tyrell is Crystal's daughter, and she wanted to be in touch with her mother. And I said, okay, if I give her this phone, I would be able to track her by that number so her daughter could talk to her. She ran the phone bill up $102 the first time, and the second time she ran the bill up, it was $281.26.
Did she pay the 102?
She finally paid $100. And the second time she came back around the end of January, and she brought $100.
So now she's giving you $200.
She's giving me $200.
Okay.
And I said, you owe me more than $200.
All right, so far she owes you an extra $181.61.
$181.26.
I'm not disputing the fact that the bill might be another $181.
Fine.
I told her clearly when she gave me the phone that I had started a new job, and the bill was going to be 2 days late.
Are you telling me, Miss Davis, that your payment was 2 days late and that she canceled the phone?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, that's incorrect.
How late was it?
The bill was at that point 60 days late.
That's
Why,
for the time.
Miss Davis,
go ahead.
She doesn't look like the kind of lady that has psychotic breakdowns. Why do you think that after a couple of months, she would say, now I'm going to cut off the phone because she's 2 days late? Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not true.
It's the reality.
No.
Okay, well.
That may be your reality. I
not
want you to get in touch with your reality. When was the last time you saw your daughter?
The last time I saw my daughter was coming from Christmas. I had her for Christmas, and I took her back to her. That was the last time that I seen my daughter.
When was the last time you made an attempt to see your daughter?
The last time I talked to her on the phone was a Sunday afternoon, and she was so upset about the phone bill. It wasn't even nothing really said. I was like, hello, this is Crystal. She was like, I have nothing to say to you until I see you in court, and hung up the phone.
Okay, so we're going to take care of this $181.26, and then I assume that you're going to go and see your daughter.
I would hope that I can see my daughter, which one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. I shouldn't have been held from seeing my daughter.
You're absolutely right, because that punishes your daughter. Do you have other children other than your son?
I have 2 sons.
2 sons. And where is the other son?
My other son is out on his own. He's 24 years old. When they get a certain age, they have to leave my house. They have to become responsible.
Good. No failure to launch in your house.
No. No.
So that you didn't sign on to become a parent all over again.
No, Your Honor, my concern here is I came from a very close-knit family, and I want to see this for Crystal and her daughter. But the greater concern that I have is my granddaughter has suffered. I want it stopped. It has to stop.
Miss Brown, if what you're telling me is that you are devastated because your son and his former girlfriend have acted like 2 irresponsible people with regard to a child that they made, I get it. All I can wish you is good health and long life, because it doesn't look to me as if this child is going to be able to look anywhere but to you for the stability that she needs.
Correct.
Because if Miss Davis says to me, I knew that the only thing standing in between my seeing my daughter and not seeing my daughter was $181. Then she should have been out doing whatever was necessary to get that $181 to clear off any problem. I don't care if you go out and sell your blood every day. I would have sold the bling on my hands. Anything that was necessary. You get me? Stop tapping. Lots of grandparents are taking care of their grandchildren. They didn't sign on for it. She's very lucky she has you. You sound like a very together lady. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $181.26.
It wasn't about money. It was about accountability, responsibility, and being a good parent.
I don't have nothing to say, nothing nice anyway, so I'm going to leave it just like that.
Kathy Jesse is suing psychic Leon Legant for loans to take spiritual vacations. Kathy claims Leon has yet to pay the money back.
All rise. Quiet, please. Yeah, it's case number 21 on the calendar in the matter of Jesse versus Legant. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
According to what I read in the complaint several years ago, you knew Mr. Legant, who was a psychic reader?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he owns a psychic school?
Correct.
How long had you known him?
I first met him in 1998.
How?
I saw an advertisement of his in a newspaper.
And have you been using him for readings since?
Counseling, yes.
What particular training do you have?
Clairvoyant training. I have a 1-year intensive, 3 years of teacher's training. I have over 6 years of training. I also have my certificates if you'd like to see those.
In any event, you wanted to take a trip. Mr. Legant was interested in going. We discussed that he didn't have the money. According to you, you loaned him the money to go, and the understanding was that he would pay you back either in cash or readings.
True.
He went on the trip. For a while, he did, in fact, pay you back by doing readings. Somebody would keep a record of, I assume, of how much each reading was, and you would check off how much was left on the debt. At some point, he missed a scheduled appointment.
Well, actually, Your Honor, he was making payments also. There was no set schedule for our appointments. It was whenever we
So he was paying in cash as well?
Actually, yes. That was mostly the agreement.
In check and or cash?
He would deposit it directly into my account, and sometimes he paid in cash, and sometimes he wrote a check. I have the deposit slips.
I'd like to see them. Sure. I mean, he had your bank account number?
Well, yes.
Did you have a social relationship with him?
Well, it wasn't very friendly in terms of a social relationship. I mean, we knew each other professionally, and I trusted him as a teacher and my mentor.
All right, so I see you made some payments to her.
That's correct.
So you consider this a loan?
No.
Well, what was it for?
It was a donation.
No. What was the money that you paid her?
That was the interest. Initially, this is the 3rd trip I've been on with Miss Jessie.
We're talking about only this one, sir.
Okay. So in this case, Miss Jessie wanted me to go on a 2nd trip to the Philippines. I clearly explained to her that that was not something I could afford. So she decided to make a donation to the school so that the school could sponsor my trip. In exchange for that donation, she was to receive hours of readings. The payment she received was when she asked for me to cover the interest on her visa. And I agreed to do that. I was grateful for the donation. I have the donation right here. I have the check.
I see it.
It says donation with a big smiley face.
Were these paid out of a private account or the school account?
It was paid out of the school's account.
So all these checks were school checks? Mm-hmm. None yours?
Right.
You're not very clairvoyant, sir. Show this to the defendant, please. That's not the school's account, is it?
Oh, no. I may have used my own account to make a check payment. That's entirely possible.
What?
You didn't see that one coming, did
What?
you?
You didn't see that one coming at all? Show him this one. Your account or the school's account?
That's my account.
One more. Uno más on this page.
Also my account. Your Honor, the,
Stop. I'm not going to read your account number, sir, but it also appears that when cash was deposited directly into her account, it was deposited directly into her account with the same numbers on the accounts that were on these checks.
Can I see that?
Yes, certainly. Here you go.
Huh, that's interesting. Because when I called the bank to get copies of this so that I would know in preparation for you, they explained to me there was no way to trace that information.
Well, you do see what I'm looking at, don't you?
I do see what you're looking at. And the agreement I had with her was to pay the interest on her card.
All I'm asking you is whether the cash and the checks that she ascribes to this loan came out of the school's account or out of your personal account. Right. So you would be saying now that it came out of your personal account.
Obviously. I believe it was. I believe there were others that were taken from the school's
I'm looking to see yours.
And
you have
like
any
I
proof?
said, the bank said they couldn't trace this information.
Listen to me, sir. Listen to me. Show me any checks that you have from the school to pay her.
I don't have those.
I do, however, see some checks, sir, that just say Bank of America, and it looks like they're from a different account.
That's right.
So sometimes you paid out of your personal account, and sometimes you paid out of the school account. You're getting my drift, sir?
Not fully.
Well, when you have a business and you start commingling money as to what is a business expense and what is not, you have a serious problem. And clearly, in looking over this paperwork, it appears to me as if you were commingling what you considered a business expense with a private debt. The IRS doesn't like that. You should know that.
I did what I could to make sure she received her interest payments in a timely manner.
Don't you make a living from this company?
Yes, I do.
Then you should have paid her. Not commingled funds. That's a very bad thing, Mr. LeGrant. Commingled funds, the IRS is going to come and get you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I left him a voicemail saying that, I think that this was unfair, and at which point he sent me an email.
I would like to see the copy
Sure.
of the email that you sent to her.
I was very angry.
And later today,
I hit the throttle, and the whole transom with the motors mounted to almost broke right off the boat. And the gas tank came completely disconnected and spilled gas all over the floor of the boat.
Kathy Jesse claimed psychic Leon Legant borrowed money from her and never paid it back. Leon says the loan was repaid with free psychic readings. He is countersuing for slander.
Can you tell me what happened that precipitated this lawsuit?
He had made his last payment in November, and in December he promised me a payment on December 20th. And I was counting on that, and it was Christmas time, and I didn't get the payment. And I had an appointment with him scheduled for the 22nd, which I was going to discuss the matter with him. And then he didn't show up for the appointment, didn't let me know.
Does he come to your house, or do you go to
No,
his
it's a telephone. It's a telephone.
It's a telephone?
Yes, we hardly ever see each other in person. And so I left him a voicemail saying that, I think that this was unfair and I should be treated better. And at which point he sent me an email saying that he really thought that was the most mean, vicious thing anybody had ever said to him. And he really, literally never talked to me again.
What did she say on the voicemail?
She was incredibly ugly. I never finished both voicemails because it was too irate and too mean, too vicious, attacking everything she could think of, everything she knew about me. Basically what happened in the beginning of December, I was still working with her and giving her readings. She explained to me that she lost her job, she was afraid she was going to lose the mortgage on her house, that she was in an incredibly strapped financial position. She began asking me if I could borrow money from my aunt to pay this balance off, and I explained to her that the agreement was an exchange of readings. This was not
Well, that's not true, sir. That's not true, because there were payments made both out of the school's account and out of your personal account.
That was interest.
That's what you say. That's not what I find. Keep going.
So she was explaining all of this to me. I explained to her that this was not the agreement. This was not what I was going to do. She pressured me for a number of weeks. She did ask me to make a payment on the 20th in December because 25th was a Sunday and also Christmas. I explained to her that I get paid on a certain date. It takes a number of days to clear the bank. I'll do the best I can to try to do that, but that may not happen. And that went in one ear right out the other.
All right, good. Did you make a payment in January?
I did not make a payment in December.
Did you make a payment in January?
Or
Is my question.
January, or since.
Right. Why not?
Because she threatened to sue me.
She didn't sue you in January, did she?
No, she filed, actually on January 20th, I was on the way to the bank because she had left these voicemails. I wasn't sure how I was supposed to handle this situation, and I told her that I would get back to her in January.
Well, so you were sort of jerking her around.
No.
Because you didn't pay the amount in December, because you said you get paid on a certain day, and you don't know whether it'll clear and whatever. All right, so you don't pay it December 20th, you don't pay it December 23rd. There's December 27th, December 28th, December 29th, December 30th, December 31st. She doesn't hear from you until January 20th?
She received an email from me explaining that I felt her messages were incredibly mean and
Well,
that
show
I
me the
would...
copy. You have the email? I would like to see the copy
sure.
of the email that you sent to her.
I was very angry.
People who owe money usually are angry. Okay, so they were the meanest, cruelest, etc. Her two voice messages, and you choose to cut her off and not have anything to do with her until the holidays are over in December, because you don't want to be bothered during the holidays
Because
with
my
any
mom
bad
was in a serious
any
accident.
bad vibrations. And I'll let you know how I plan to handle the future in January. Well, what'd you do at the beginning of January, sir? The holidays are over.
Yeah, I was thinking about how to handle the situation. I wasn't sure how to do that. The 20th was coming by in January. I decided
what, the
to make
20th?
The 20th of January.
Well, so you were thinking between January 2nd and January 20th.
That's right.
Let me hear your counterclaim, Mr. LeGrand.
After Miss Jessie complained about this December incident, she did request communication from me. I did say that I would communicate with her in January about the situation. Before I had a chance to do that, she went to my website. She scoured through all of the emails, addresses, everything she could get, and began emailing everybody from clients, students, about the situation. Very, very crazy emails.
Well, show me.
Sure. Here's one she sent to the travel agent. I'll give you all of them. And also as far as missed appointments, that has happened in the past.
I'm not interested in that. All she does is talk to whoever she talks to about the fact that you owe her money.
These are my students
Who
that
cares?
she ripped off my website.
Who cares? You shouldn't have had them on your website.
It has
If you'd
none
want...
of their business.
Listen to me. She's entitled to do that. She doesn't slander you, sir. She says that you have an honest dispute with her. She believes you owe her money and you are not paying her the money that you owe her. She doesn't say anything scandalous about you. You may not like it, but she doesn't say anything that's actionable. Can you please explain to me how a school professing to be spiritual and ethical can attempt to steal this money loaned in good faith? That's the way she feels.
It wasn't alone.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something, sir. I am the final arbiter of that, and I'm telling you that it was a loan. It was a loan because you repaid it. And you not only repaid it, you repaid it, some of it out of your funds and some of it out of school funds, which you can't do.
That's not correct.
Listen. Some of the people that you deal with, Mr. LeGrand, may revere you as being some sort of spiritual leader. I guarantee you. I'm not one of those people. All right? I'm telling you, you went on a trip, you slept, you ate, you took a plane, you, not the spirits, your body, took the plane to the Philippines and had a nice trip. Pay for it. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,697. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I missed an appointment.
I think that he has some talent,
He decided to use that as an excuse to refuse readings and demand money.
but that he needs to work a little bit more on his character.
Oh, I want to have nothing to do with her.
I think he's his own worst enemy, and he's on a self-destructive course.
And now the next case.
All parties to the matter of Rose versus Nelson. Step forward, please.
Rachel Rose is suing her ex-boyfriend, Eric Nelson, for the return of payments and repair costs for a vehicle he financed. Eric says the car was repossessed because Rachel missed payments.
Miss Rose, Mr. Nelson is a former boyfriend of yours, correct? And he financed a car. He was responsible for the payments on the car, but it was your car, correct? The agreement was you were to make the payments on the car. When the car was paid off, it would be yours, correct? Well, what happened is that you missed some payments on the car. Couple, 2, maybe 3. And the car was repossessed by the company. Is that right so far?
So far, I made a payment. I had placed it on the Dropbox.
I don't want to hear that you made the payment. You placed it on the Dropbox. They didn't cash the check, but then you missed 2 more payments. You missed payments, correct?
Yes.
And the car was repossessed. You called up the company, and the company said, well, if you make up all the payments that you missed, we'll give you the car back. You were prepared to make up the payments, right?
Correct.
But Mr. Nelson says, I'm not going to sign off on you getting the car back because I don't trust that you're going to continue to make the payments on the car. Let them take back the car. I'll make up the missed payments, and I just want this off my record so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So you're suing him for not making it easy for you to get the car back from the company. That's your lawsuit?
Yes.
That's not a lawsuit, Miss Rose.
Well, Your Honor, I have the paperwork pertaining to the money order that I had purchased and I had put in the Dropbox. After the 29th of December, I had called and checked the status of the money order. The money order had not been cashed.
Miss Rhodes, you don't seem to get me. After you had this alleged mishap with a money order that you allegedly put in a Dropbox at the car company, which they didn't cash, you then missed 2 more payments.
Ma'am, the payment was for, the money order was for $250.
You then missed, according to your own statement, 2 more payments because you had trouble. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct.
Well, that's what you wrote here. That's what you wrote here. How many more months of payments did you miss?
I only missed, to my knowledge, I missed 3 payments, which is a month worth of payments.
You missed 3 payments and the car was repossessed.
That's correct, but as far as I know, I thought the payments were current.
Well, they weren't current, and you have no cause of action against Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson doesn't have to make it easy for you to get your car back from the company. Your responsibility is to see to it that the payments are made on time, and they are made to the right place, and to check and see if they were cashed, and to check and see that his credit is not at risk. That's your job. He was being very nice to you, but things transpired which we'll get to in a moment because you have a counterclaim that suggested to him that you were not particularly a trustworthy person. So he wasn't going to make it easy for you to get the car back, and he has no legal obligation to do that. And this is, of course, a court of law. And in a court of law, he is not under a legal obligation to get you your car back from the finance company after you missed. I don't care if you missed 1 payment. According to you, you missed 3.
Well, can I say this?
Sure.
If I wasn't such a trustworthy person, I was able to pay the money to get the car back, but he didn't want to do that. But he told me that I can give him the $500 so that I can drive another car of his that he had parked.
Well, let me tell you why he thinks that you're not particularly a trustworthy person. He has a counterclaim for the missed payments that he had to make up.
Yes, ma'am.
More importantly, his counterclaim, he asks for money for a paternity test because you had a child, which he believed to be his child. He put his name on the child's birth certificate. He paid child support. I don't know whether he saw the child regularly.
He paid child support.
No. Did you pay any child support, sir, to her?
No, ma'am, I haven't paid to her because I have a lawyer at this time.
Were you living together when the child was born?
No, ma'am.
Did she tell you the child was yours?
Yes, ma'am.
And you believed her?
Yes, ma'am.
And you took a paternity test?
Yes, ma'am.
And the paternity test said the child could not have been yours.
0% probability.
That's why he doesn't trust you.
Okay. Can I say this?
Yes.
He took a paternity test. I didn't know nothing about the paternity test. I wasn't there when he swabbed my daughter's mouth. I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he could have, I don't know.
He could have, but I think you certainly have to go to court to find out. Have you been to court yet?
Yes, we've been to court.
And what happened when you went to court?
We went to court, and by him signing the paternity affidavit, they stated that if it is his child or if it's not his child, that he needs to pay
child support. So the court where you are said Mr. Nelson is out of luck because he was told that the child was his by you, and because he signed the affidavit of paternity based on what you told him, he's going to pay child support whether the child is his or not. That's what you just told me.
I mean, that's what they said.
That's what you just told me that he was told.
Yes.
wouldn't make me happy. That wouldn't make me believe that you are a particularly trustworthy person. Sir, this was not a court-ordered blood test, is that right?
No, ma'am.
You took the child yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you have to proceed through the courts. You hired an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that's the first smart thing that you did.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And do you have a court date?
Yes, I do. My lawyer has gotten us a court date to go back to court on May the 15th, so we could rescind the paternity affidavit that was already filed against me.
Well, at that point, Miss Rhodes, the baby, as well as you, will be sent to a laboratory to take a paternity test. And at that time, with all three parties present, the court will at least be satisfied that the test is done properly. Miss Rhodes at this point knows that she's on notice, that if there is a possibility that you are not the biological father of this child, that is not a good thing. So I suggest you start searching in memory to figure out if there's any possibility that he's not the father. Okay? Got it? Got it. Good. So you have no cause of action against him for the car. He doesn't have to assist you in getting the car back from the finance company. You can convince them to give the car to you, that's super. And if you can't, you shouldn't have missed the payments which caused it to be repossessed. Now, the defendant's counterclaim is granted in the amount of $275, not for the paternity test, sir, because the paternity test was not an authorized test and it was not done by the courts. If you had been forced to pay for a paternity test through the courts, I might have entertained your application if it was done with all three parties present. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. $275 on the counterclaim. Your claim is dismissed, Miss Rose.
Just to get back at me for leaving after I found out my daughter wasn't my daughter.
I am a very trustworthy person.
She confessed that she had sex with another man while we were together.
Hopefully when a paternity test come back, my daughter will be his.
I already know those results, so I've already dealt with that.
It's going to be his child.
Traumatizing. At work all day crying.
And he's going to pay his child support.
I know that she's not really my little girl. I just don't know how to deal with it.
We're going about our normal business life.
Damaged her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2101, Lawson versus Baumgartner.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Larson, it is your claim that the defendant's son, I assume that's this young man over here, vandalized your car. He vandalized your car by smashing in a side mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Which required you to be without a car for a day while they fixed it, so you want his father, who was actually present at the time, to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
From what I gather, this happened on Father's Day, which was June 19th
Yes.
of this year, and you were going over to visit your father.
Yes.
For Father's Day. Stand up. What I gather from your complaint, was he sleeping?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Some sort of an altercation happened, which you'll tell me about in a moment. His father was called.
Yes, ma'am.
His father came. This kerfuffle continued, and when they were on their way out, this young man, whose name is...
Caden Baumgartner?
Caden smashed in your passenger mirror. Had to do was pull it out, and it would have been fine.
Right.
That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start out when you arrived at your father's house. What time?
I arrived at my father's about, I would say, about 11:15.
Okay.
And it woke up Caden in the process. Caden got upset.
What did he say? How did you know he was upset?
He started screaming and pretty much saying, "Why the heck are you coming in here, waking everybody up? You have no right to."
Okay.
And then after that, Caden got up and started yelling, started punching the walls, screaming. My father went in there, and then his father, Chris, ended up getting called to come get Caden.
How far do you live from where Miss Larson's father lives?
About 7 miles away.
How old is your son?
He's 16.
Is he the old... Oh.
Yes.
Who sets the rules for him?
Well, I do.
Where did you think he was going?
No, I knew he was over at they had something to do for Mother's Day, and then they...
That was Father's Day.
Well, I know, but I'm saying for the entire...
Mother's Day is in May, Father's Day is in June. They usually don't have carryovers.
Planned, I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, he was over there.
Times have changed. Life has changed. The only time you got to sleep outside your house when I was growing up was when you were outside in a pine box or a white dress. That was it. Those were your choices.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the way you could leave your parents' house. Right? I chose the dress. All right. Now, Caden, I'm going to come around to you. Because, we're not talking about somebody losing 2 pints of blood.
Yeah.
Or somebody losing a finger.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to wake up a teenager at 11:30 in the morning. You were particularly annoyed when Miss Larson came in, right?
Yes.
Why?
Well, she did put it the right way, but she didn't put it the right way because.
But just tell me why.
Well,
Don't look at her.
She
Talk to
didn't
me.
just wake her up. She came in there loud.
When she walked in, Caden, to a room in her father's house, what did she say? And tell me in what tone of voice she said it.
She said in like a excited voice, but not like a mad voice, excited voice.
All right, and that got you mad.
No, that's not what got me mad.
What got you mad?
By the time I could even finish my sentence, she's already busted in through the door and was in my face saying, "You got something to say to me."
Just a second. You're not following me. She came in, and the first thing you said was she was talking too loud, and I want to know what you said to her.
I didn't say nothing to her.
Nothing.
Nothing. I ain't
Nothing.
look at her.
And then she left, so...
She cussed at me, but then she walked in there and she later
Who
said...
cussed at you?
Her. And then she later said
Well,
that
just
she
a
was
second,
saying that she wants me to get ran out of the house. That's how this all started.
Just a second. That's a different story. Okay, so what you're saying to me is you believe that she came over for the purpose of getting you out of the house.
I believe so, yes. Because that's what I got told.
Well, let us assume for a moment that's true. That would sound right to me. Get him out of the house. It's 11:30 in the morning on Father's Day. We want to have a party here. Get him out of the house. That would sound right on the money to moi. Right on the money. I mean, if that's what it was about. So I don't care if that's what it was about or not. Okay, your father comes. What happened when you got there, sir?
When I showed up, I went to the door and knocked on it. They answered the door. It was pretty chaotic.
Look at me.
It was pretty chaotic.
Describe what chaotic is.
Okay, there was a bunch of yelling and screaming going on between Caden, my son, and the plaintiff.
And Miss Larson.
Miss Larson, yes. And I told my son, I said, hey, you just need to step outside and let me figure out what's going on here, and I'll be right out. I tried to talk to Mark. Mark come and leave. I said, okay, that's no problem. I'll get him
Just
out.
a second. The father came out of the room and said, I want Caden to leave.
Right.
And did he leave?
When I come and got him, we left. Yes, we did.
And he walked out the front door.
Yes, he did.
And when he walked out the front door, he passed the plaintiff's car.
Yes, I believe so.
What do you mean? You wrote it in your answer, sir.
Yes, I
so
did.
the answer is yes.
Yes.
And you saw him do what to the mirror? Don't minimize what he did. I would have slapped him upside the head if I saw him take his hand and knock off somebody's mirror. I really didn't mean that. I don't believe in corporal punishment.
Amen.
And later today.
What do you think that I think of a person who says, okay, I'll go with you to this very, very sad time. Someone who I've been close and intimate with for months, but it's going to cost you $900.
Morgan Larson claims Chris Baumgartner's 16-year-old son, Caden, vandalized her car.
Now, you saw him do what to the mirror?
Push it in.
Okay, very good. Now, do you have photographs of the pushed-in mirror?
I do.
I'd like to see it. Okay, 1 moment. Just for my own curiosity, you knew that it was wrong for him to touch that mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if what you say is he just pushed the mirror in and all it had to do is be, you believe, to be clicked out?
I believe it to be.
Just, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you say to him, don't touch somebody else's property? That's what this is all about.
Well, I
Your
believe
temper.
I did say that to him.
Just
I
a
said,
second.
Don't put your
Well,
hand.
then why didn't you pull out the mirror if that's all it was? If you say the only thing wrong with the mirror is that it has to be pulled out, why didn't you do that? You didn't see him touch the mirror.
No, it's not.
You were there.
She was right behind us.
She didn't see it. You saw it. So my only question to you is if you saw it and it was that minor thing, and you know what it is, either you can click the mirror in and then you pull it out. I'm always afraid to click it out that I'm going to break it.
Exactly.
You're not suggesting that anybody else touched this mirror to damage it. On the mirror, sir, what did he use to hit the mirror?
I believe it was his hand.
When you say you believe it was his hand, did you see what was in his hand?
He had nothing in his hand.
Did his hand get bloody?
No.
Okay, Kevin, would you turn these over to the defendant, please, and get from the plaintiff an estimate for the damage?
That's not what...
They ripped it off there.
Well, yeah, clearly, because that's not what it would look like when I see. Because when he walked by, he just simply, okay. And I said, now, Caden, that's enough.
So you had a $500 deductible on your insurance?
Yes, I did.
And you had it fixed?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you paid $442.74 use of the car all that time?
No.
Oh, of course you did. Okay. Just want to see what you have for a car rental.
Your Honor, I don't understand this car rental part of it. I've been without a mirror before.
Sir, you're not allowed to drive without 2 mirrors.
Then there was one in the cab as well. That's 2 mirrors, isn't it?
I don't know what you're asking me, sir, because at some point you just have to take the car, and let's say it takes a day once you get the parts. At some point you have to take the car in and you're without a car for a day. Well, then you could either be without a car for a day or you can rent a car for a day. I'm not giving her a rental for a month. I'm not crazy. You know, there's a certain amount of inconvenience that one endures when somebody else vandalizes a piece of their property. And that's part of the punishment. Yeah, I'm glad you understand. Don't minimize what he did. I would have slapped him upside the head if I saw him take his hand and knock off somebody's mirror. I really didn't mean that. I don't believe in corporal punishment.
Amen.
I don't think you needed 15 days to fix this.
I didn't think so either.
Well, I certainly don't think so. That's judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I didn't think that I needed to pay the whole $1,300 out of pocket.
I'm just glad someone finally held them accountable for what they did.
The mirror, I was walking past it and just hit it. Bam, you know what I mean?
I finally am getting reimbursed for the money I had to pay.
I knew what I was doing, and when I did it, I did regret it after I did it, you know what I mean?
I feel like some people need to control their children better.
It's also a sign of the times that this father did not own up to what he saw.
I will say he was on the more responsible side of parents than some that we've seen here. I said, Caden, what are you doing? This is not how you act. This is not how you behave. So that I almost appreciated. But he didn't take it as far as you or I would have liked.
As far as knock at the door. I know this is hot. My son did something wrong. I'm going to pay for it.
Yep.
Whatever it is. I have to come into the 21st century kicking in.
Bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2110, Costello versus Knapp.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Costello, you and Mr. Knapp were out drinking in the park.
Yes.
Date and time.
The date time was around 3 a.m. and it was on 9/11 of 2021.
And you've known Mr. Knapp for how long?
Roughly 9 years. We started off playing high school baseball.
And when had you first met up on September 11th?
I can't remember the exact time. I would say around maybe 7 p.m.
Where?
At a bar over in Old Town Pasadena. We weren't meeting up.
Just a second.
Yeah.
So you were in a bar in Pasadena, 7 p.m. Just the two of you, or were there more people?
No.
How many were there in the whole group?
I had around 5 or 6 people in my group, and we went
all friends?
Yeah.
And you?
He wasn't a part of that group.
But you were at the bar?
No, ma'am. I was at work when he contacted me.
Okay, so you were at the bar starting at 7 with your friends. He wasn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, what time did he join you?
It wasn't, I couldn't tell you the exact time.
Approximately?
About an hour later.
At the bar?
Yeah, but it wasn't a text or anything like that. He just happened to go to the same bar.
No, ma'am. What ended up happening from the start, I was at work. He contacted me via text.
Do you have that text?
No, ma'am. I tried to erase the whole memory from my mind, so I deleted all the pictures and all the text.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yes.
That's unfortunate. I've never done that, by the way. Deleted, wanted to erase something from my mind, so I didn't just say I'm not going to think about it anymore. I've never done that. Did you ever do that, Sarah?
I have not.
You have not? And she's pretty efficient with text messages. Did you ever do that?
Never have I done that.
No. Well, you must be unusual, sir. Okay, so you met at the bar. What time did you get there?
Well, my shift ended at around 9 o'clock.
How long did you stay at the bar?
We were there until 12.
Okay, so Mr. Costello, you had been drinking from 7 until about 12.
Correct.
The answer is yes. Yes, of course. And what's your drink of choice, sir?
Beer.
What else?
The first bar that we were at doesn't serve hard alcohol, so it was just beer there.
Okay, so from 7 to when were you at the first bar?
Yeah.
From 7 to when?
7 to when? Till
to
12.
12.
Yeah.
So it's 7 to 12.
Same time as well.
Okay, so from 7 to 12 you were drinking beer.
Yeah.
And then where did you go at 12 o'clock?
After 12 o'clock, we ended up going to another bar in Arcadia.
Okay, and you stayed there from when to when?
From 12 to closing, which is 2 a.m.
And you were part of that group?
Yes, that's when I initially met the group.
At the second bar or the
At the
first?
second bar, yes.
Not at the first bar?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you got to the second bar, you were there you said you were there at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So they weren't there when you arrived?
They were there when I arrived, yes.
Well, he said that, I thought he said he got to the second bar at 12 o'clock.
I arrived at the bar at around 10 o'clock, ma'am.
And you got there at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time you all got together and left the bar, you had all been drinking, you for a very long time and you for a shorter time.
Yes, ma'am.
So from 10 to 2, so 4 hours. And what's your drink of choice?
10 to 12, Your Honor. I apologize. 10 to 12.
Where did you go at 12 o'clock?
12 o'clock is when we had all decided to go to a park, kind of a low-key area.
Oh, well, he said that he went to a bar between 7 and 12. Am I correct, Whitney? Did he say 12? He said you were at the bar, first bar, between 7 and 12. Yes, is an answer. You say at 12 o'clock you went to a second bar where you had alcohol between 12 and 2.
Yes.
Correct. Yes?
Correct.
You got to a bar at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Which one? The beer bar or the alcohol bar?
I finished my shift, like I said, at 9, and I showed up at the bar at 10 to meet up with them, to try to rekindle an old friendship.
Okay. Yeah. I actually don't care about that. All right, so partially you got your story straight, partially not. Anyway, you were two drunks. Now it's after 2 o'clock, and you decided to go to a park. How many people went to a park, and what park?
It was the same amount of people that I was with from the start.
And you were along at the park?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it was.
Okay, did you take any beers to the park, or you went without them? You took beers to the park. The answer is yes.
Yeah, the main reasoning of going to the park was after the bar had closed, Jacob mentioned to the group that he had beers with him. So that incited us to go to the park and have some beer.
Continue drinking.
Exactly.
Yes, prior to me showing up, I did stop by 7-Eleven.
Okay, so you had beers with you, and you were at the bar.
Yes.
Nice, very good. Now you get to the park, you're drinking beers. Now you're going to describe what you say is the assault that you suffered at the hands of Mr. Knapp. Now, I want you to know my feeling before you tell me the story.
Okay.
I usually don't get myself overly exercised about what drunks do in a park. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. I know that you may be all exercised about it, although I'm not exactly sure you're all exercised about it. So if you really are, I'm going to listen to you. If you're not, we just eliminate this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If he just simply tossed me a beer, I don't understand how a beer can could chip my tooth the way that it
Just
did.
a second. I can eat a biscotti and it can chip my tooth. Biscotti, that's a cookie and a half. I mean, I could chip my tooth on my grandmother's steak. It was so hard.
Claims his former friend, Jacob Knapp, owes for dental bills after being hit in the mouth with a beer can.
Okay, go. You're in the park, drunk. He's in the park, drunk.
Yes.
And
To state I was not drunk because I was driving my witness here.
I want to tell you something. If you were drinking from 7 to 2, you were drunk.
I hadn't been drinking the whole time that I was there.
Let's go.
So going into it, I was sitting at a park bench with Maureen here. And then I had another 2 friends that were on the other side. And we're hanging out. They had the 2 across from me got up. They went further into the park and I was sitting with just her alone. And I was just about to show her a video off my phone. Next thing I know, I get hit in the face by a beer. After that occurs, I reach to my mouth to see something's wrong there. And I feel that like a part of my tooth is missing.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the assault that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you allege that Mr. Knapp was the one who threw the beer bottle.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a full beer can.
A can.
Yeah, not bottle.
Did you report this incident to the police?
I did not take it to the police
Just a
because...
second, I'm just asking.
Oh, sorry.
The answer is no.
No.
I disagree.
Disagree that he went to the police?
With his story.
No, I'll get there. Okay, so now you get hit in the face with a beer can. Step by step. You look down, you look at your tooth.
Realize it's chipped. I say out loud, my tooth is chipped. She doesn't...
Don't tell me not that she. Just you.
Just me? I noticed it was chipped. And then after I announced that it was chipped, several of my friends, I guess, went towards him. And I don't
You didn't tell me anything about him. You didn't tell me. You just said you got hit in the face with a beer can.
Yeah.
That's all you said to
And
me.
he was the only other person that was standing right there, besides her sitting next to me.
So you didn't...
But there was never a case of...
No, you didn't.
Of anything.
That's all. Yeah. You didn't see him throw it at you.
No.
Okay, go.
From the park, Your Honor?
Take it from the park.
So
Now I got 2 drunks in the park, maybe 3.
there was actually more than just 3 of us surrounding the table.
Just a second.
Me and...
Go slowly.
Okay, sorry.
Slower.
Let me take
I
it
don't
down a
know
notch.
table. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, as he was saying, we were sitting at a park bench. I had brought the beer. The beer was next to me. He had asked me to toss him a beer. And that's plainly what I did was I underhanded him lightly a beer to him. And in his defense, he's saying he wasn't drunk, but it definitely was apparent that he was. When you lightly
Anybody's been
toss a
drinking
beer...
from 7 to 2 in the morning is drunk.
Yes, ma'am. So I lightly tossed him a beer, and unfortunately it was dark enough to where he had missed, and the beer had hit him in the face. Which after, immediately I started to apologize to him, stating that I didn't mean to, but it was apparent he was looking at me and did not catch the beer. So personally, I think everything he said to you right now was...
That's your story. You tossed him a beer because he asked you. He said, toss me a beer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was dark.
Yes.
And you were drunk. And he was drunk.
I wasn't drunk, Your Honor. I had 4 beers within the time of the clock till this incident happened.
You know, I'm not real comfortable with that, sir. Because according to you, you had been drinking for 4 hours. And not only were you drinking for 4 hours, but you brought extra alcohol to have in the park. By the way.
Which was a
container. Where do you live? In what city?
In Pasadena, Your Honor.
In California. Are you allowed to drink alcohol in parks in California?
I'm not certain.
Well, let's find out. Open beer cans in city parks in California.
That's a no. So after...
John, we're not talking yet.
I'm sorry.
Drinking alcoholic beverages is a prohibited activity in parks and park areas, according to the Pasadena City Park rules.
Did you, Mr. Costello, and the defendant, immediately after this event, did you communicate with him via text or email?
I texted him, I think it was roughly a couple of days later.
Okay, I'd like to see.
I have that.
That's all I want to see. Don't say anything else.
Okay.
Just show me the texts that you sent him a couple of days later.
There it is.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I'd like to see these texts from your phone, and I'd like to see all your text messages starting September 14th.
It's right here.
Of 2021. Now, sir, you have to understand, what you said to me here, what you gave me, is 2 texts a year apart. I want to see the texts to him.
There was nothing.
After September 14th, you mean he didn't respond at all to this? I don't believe that.
My next thing that I did was I sent a letter through the mail, and I have that here, and I have proof of it where I had it so where he had to sign for it, and I have the receipt for it as well.
What date?
That one, I can pull it up right here.
I'm sorry, what letter? I never received a letter.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is that I'm supposed to believe that after you sent this email on September 14th, which is 3 days after the event, he never responded to you, and you never sent a follow-up email or text.
That was the letter. And then the letter I gave him...
Just a second.
Okay.
Oh, here. I had a document that you sent to him that he had to sign for. If you sent him a letter, return receipt requested, then you have a return receipt requested with a signature on it. That's a document that you prepared 2 days ago.
I have the receipt in here.
Let's get it.
Okay.
I never signed such document.
Just don't shout out again.
Yes, ma'am.
It's annoying, and I'm annoyed enough with this case.
I'm sorry for being so unorganized.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're so unorganized too, or disorganized.
Oh, here it is.
Great.
Certified mail. They're stuck to the back room.
This was sent April of 2022. I want to see what the response was. There had to be a response.
I never got a
since
response.
September 14th, 2021. There had to be a response.
I never got a response from him.
Kevin, show this to Mr. Knapp and tell me if he recalls this text message.
Your Honor, no, I do not remember getting this text.
Why would you respond a year later? I know from the past, dealing with Mr. Knapp here, he tends to always being friends, whenever get into an altercation or argument, he unfollows me, blocks me on everything. So there's a possibility by that text message.
I don't deal in possibilities, sir.
I sent the text message, and I have proof of there. It was delivered, and I never got a response from him.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Sir, this incident happened September 11th. You have to understand, I think that if that's what happened. I tend to believe that the defendant did not just willy-nilly take a can and fling it at your face. I want you to know that I don't believe that. He was stupid enough to throw the beer can in his direction. You're two drunks, that's what happens. So don't get so drunk and go to a park. How often?
Jacob says Giovanni asked him to throw it.
Okay, it is more likely than not, that you were sitting with this lady who, according to you, you were supposed to drive home. That's what you said 5 minutes ago. So you were supposed to drive home, which means she was trashed, because that's what you said. You said, I wasn't sure.
The arrangements from the very beginning of the night.
Okay, do you understand? So we had a whole bunch of trashed people, and I am more likely to believe the defendant when he says you said to him, toss me a beer, and it accidentally hit you in the face.
My questioning is that the...
I don't answer questions.
Okay, well, where the beer was placed on the table, I don't understand why I would have to ask him to toss me a beer when I can simply reach over and grab one myself.
I don't know either. But it sounds more likely to me than not that it was his beer, he brought it there, and you said to him, toss me a beer. And you failed to catch it. Now, that doesn't mean that the defendant isn't at least partially responsible for the stupidity of that night. But you have some responsibility too, because I really don't believe that he left the bar. He was angry and frustrated over something that you had no idea what he was angry and frustrated over, because you were all sitting together, and he just out of the blue took a beer and threw it at your face. I don't believe that. Do you understand?
If I could show you a picture here, you could see that if he just simply tossed me a beer, I don't understand how a beer can could chip my tooth the way that it
Just
did.
a second. It can.
Okay.
I can eat a biscotti and it can chip my tooth. Biscotti, that's a cookie. It was so hard. But certainly from a beer can. So I don't believe that you're blameless. What was your dental bill, sir?
All the statements here.
While he's looking for that, you understand that if you were sitting there and instead of a bunch of beer cans, and the plaintiff said to you, you know, that gun that's in your pocket, toss it over to me. I want to take a look at it. And you did. You took the gun out of your pocket and you tossed it over to him. And as you were tossing it over, it accidentally fired. Would it be his fault if he got shot? No. Whose fault would it be?
Mine.
Right. Because you weren't supposed to do that. Because it was potentially dangerous.
Of course.
Well, same thing with a knife. An explosive device.
Right.
Or something very hot, like toss me a cup of coffee in a container and it splatters. So you don't do what anybody asks you to do if it's not a smart thing to do.
Right.
Unless you're drunk. Unless you're drunk.
Your Honor,
then,
if I may.
Yeah.
Coming from a baseball background, such as me and Gio did.
I don't care about your baseball background. There's no question, sir, that you acknowledge you threw it at him. And I'm telling you that if your excuse is that he asked me to do it, so I followed the fool's directions, I'm telling you, he's going to pay part of his dental bill, because I think it was partially his responsibility. But if you acknowledge that you were stupid enough to throw the beer can in his direction, you have to be partially liable. You're two drunks, that's what happens. So don't get so drunk and go to a park. How old are you?
27.
27 is on you?
28, Your Honor.
28. You know, old enough not to be so stupid. You know, you can figure 17, 18-year-olds are so stupid. At age 28, you should be doing something constructive. I assume you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a chef.
And you?
I'm a lumberman, Your Honor.
Okay, so you both gainfully on all cylinders. Because of alcohol, you have to take responsibility. What was the dental bill?
My dental bill came out to $2,342.
Can I see that, please, Kevin?
This here, you both.
Was any of this dental bill covered by insurance?
On the dental, no.
Okay. Anything else?
My wholeheartedly truth is I didn't ask him for a beer. I had no problems. I was avoiding him the whole night for the most part because from the past, Jacob has had a way worse drinking problem than I've ever gotten to. I went out that night solely to have a couple drinks, hang out with friends. The night went longer than expected.
Very nice. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,171, which is half of your dental bill. You pay half. Don't get drunk. You're too old to get drunk. I don't believe that he maliciously threw this at you. I think that you asked for a beer, tossed it at you, and you missed. That was his stupidity and yours. We're done here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
All I did was I underhand lightly tossed it over to him, and that's really what happened.
I did nothing wrong to deserve to get a beer thrown in my face like a baseball.
Unfortunately, he chipped his tooth, and so it was unfortunate.
I said, hey, Jacob, look, you chipped my tooth. Look what you just did.
No more drinking in the parks, guys.
Not to do it again.
I think this situation is the exact reason cities like Pasadena have rules about drinking alcohol in parks. Because, like you always say, it's not an on purpose, it's an accident. But a lot of times there are certain things that can increase the probability of an accident happening. And I think drinking at 2 a.m. in a park probably is one of those things.
That's true. So that's a
personal belongings and filing a false restraining order.
Mr. Hastings, you and the defendant were roommates? I'm not quite understanding.
Yes, correct.
Clearly, whether you were roommates or in a relationship. What was it?
It was just roommates.
When did you start to be roommates?
In September of 2020.
Did you know each other before?
Yes.
How?
We were just friends that met at a party and hung out often.
Starting when?
That was in December of 2019.
And what made you decide to room together?
We were both looking for a place to live, so since we both needed that, we found this apartment together.
2 bedrooms?
Correct.
And you moved in with animals,
Correct.
I understand from the complaint.
Correct.
Cats?
Yes.
How many?
I had 2.
I had 2.
I didn't ask you anything yet. You had 2. And Miss Camera had 2. Any other animals?
No.
So you started to live together during COVID?
Correct.
Were you working?
Yes.
Was Miss Camera working?
Yes.
What was the rent on the apartment?
It was $13.65.
And you each pay half?
Correct.
So far correct? Arrangement.
In 2020, yeah, we just had many squabbles, but overall we were just fine.
I would ask you the same question. In 2020, everything okay?
No.
What happened in 2020?
It was emotional warfare since I moved in with him. There was arguments with everything, even simple things like cleaning the dishes, just nonstop. I was terrified of him living with him. I couldn't bring anything up without it being an argument.
Okay, so prior to moving in with Mr. Hastings, where did you live?
With my parents.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Is this the first time you had an apartment?
Yes.
And how far away were your parents from this apartment?
For like 10 minutes.
If you were terrified, you should have moved home.
I wasn't allowed to.
You weren't allowed to because?
Because I wasn't allowed to live with my dad and stepmom because they moved into a 55 and over neighborhood.
When?
When I moved into my apartment to prepare for the moving out.
I just don't want to hear drama. If you had fights over who's going to clean the dishes I don't want to hear terrified unless you're terrified. And if you're terrified and you're 21 years old, you go back to where you came from, to your parents' house. If you're terrified, may not have liked it, but that's just kid drama. So, squabbles in 2020. Your lawsuit says that she disposed of your belongings. She filed a restraining order.
Yes.
As a result of the restraining order, you were evicted from the apartment.
Yes.
It was a false restraining order. You hired a lawyer to appeal the finding of the judge that you had harassed her because this restraining order was based on harassment.
Yes.
May I see a copy of it, please?
I have a copy of the restraining order.
Of the order or what it was based on?
It said what it has the whole thing. It says what it was based on.
I see what she has. It doesn't look like it was what it was based on. You do a write-up of what it was based on.
On the front page.
Judge who heard this case, and I'm assuming everything in this write-up is true. On the above date, which was the 7th of September 2021, on the above date and time, defendant and the plaintiff engaged in a verbal argument over household chores. The defendant then made comments to the plaintiff that he would go crazy on her and raised his fist. The defendant stated this multiple times and started shaking in anger, causing the plaintiff to be in fear for her life. And you had a hearing on this.
Yes.
You had a hearing on this. You told this to a judge.
Yes.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what you told the judge, or did you tell the judge anything?
I told the judge that I was raising my voice, but I was standing a good amount of distance away from her at the time, and that I was shaking because I wasn't being listened to, and that was it. There was no...
Judge say to you, how would you describe shaking in anger because you weren't being listened to?
I was shaking just because I was angry. I was just trying to keep my composure.
Well, that would frighten me.
Ryan Hastings claims his former roommates, Peyton Kammer, owes for a security deposit and personal belongings. Peyton is countersuing for rent and emotional distress.
Now, tell me, did the judge say to you, how would you describe shaking in anger because you weren't being listened to?
Can you repeat that question?
I don't know how you were shaking. You mean you...
I was shaking as in I was shaking just because I was angry. I wasn't being listened to. I was trying to keep my composure. So I was just shaking.
Well, that would frighten me. Actually, I don't know whether I'd put you out of your house, but that would frighten me. Mr. Hastings, where are you living now?
I just moved into a new apartment.
With whom?
Myself.
Better?
Yes, and my cats.
Perfect. Yourself and your cats. Great. That might frighten me if you appeared out of control. So I'm dismissing that part of your complaint, which seeks damages for a false restraining order.
Okay.
What you actually just testified to me, and I took everything that she said in her complaint against you. I didn't even have to ask her. I wanted to know what you told the judge.
Of course.
Then it was a reasonable issuing of a protective order, just to make sure that it appeared to me what you were testifying to is that she couldn't tell the difference whether you were composing yourself or whether you were out of control. Okay, so it wasn't.
May I interject and just say that the restraining order was repealed and remanded, saying that the court did not find sufficient evidence to impose the order. And
whether it was or not, I don't care what I'm not sitting as an appellate court.
Okay.
I'm sitting as a trier of fact for the first time in your civil act. For an assault case or a homicide case. This guy says he was shaking. She says he was shaking in anger. You say I was shaking to try to maintain my composure. Well, I'm not going to worry about them. Let him go find someplace else to live, which is what he did. So I think that that's reasonable. Money owed for return of security deposit. Now, he was put out of the apartment. He put in security deposit. Correct. And he was put out of the apartment. How much security deposit did he put in?
$682.
Are you still living in the apartment?
I am.
Okay. When he moved out of the apartment as a result of this restraining order, was there any damage in the apartment that he caused?
No.
Then you have to give him back his $682 because any damage that would have resulted since he moved out would be your damage, okay? That's fair enough. $682, that's your security deposit, sir. Return of belongings. Okay, so when you were told that you had to vacate the apartment, tell me what belongings you left in the apartment which you think she still has, which belong to you.
I do not believe she has any for those items because they were thrown away.
What items?
So I had a bed.
Just a second. You had a bed and there was a major flea problem in the apartment as a result of your cats.
Correct.
Okay, she threw away the bed. What else?
Okay, there was a Nintendo Switch.
Do you know what that is?
Nintendo Switch? I never found that. I believe he took that the night with him.
Okay, she didn't have it. She didn't throw it away. What else?
I also had a hookah that was in there.
What, a hookah?
Yeah.
Do you have his hookah?
No.
Go. What's next? Okay, if you have to think about it that hard.
I'm sorry.
Sir, we're finished. She owes you back your security deposit. That's $682. You have a counterclaim. Most of it is nonsense. You counterclaim for emotional distress. Forget that. Only when emotionally...
The month of September, he was late on it.
The month of September?
But that would have been the $682.
Was he there in September?
September 1st would have been the day that the money was due.
No, when did he vacate the apartment as a result of your restraining order?
September 7th, when the night of the the mistake, but he was late on rent often.
$682, that's what he gets.
Yes.
As he gets a security deposit back. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't really disagree with anything. Everything went perfectly the way I would have hoped it went.
I'm glad I got my security deposit back, but I could have definitely been compensated for the items that I lost.
I mean, he got a little money out of it, but way less than he thought he would. It's a good day.
Sometimes I can get anxious, but I would not hurt anybody physically.
I hope he gets some help.
Me and my cats are the best trio.
You know, I remember from a very early period in my life when I started college that I wasn't really good at having a roommate.
I think you must have passed that on to me.
I did, especially one that you don't love. You know, it's hard enough to lived with us, so you know I have that argument all the time. But I love him.
Yeah.
It's very hard to deal with somebody's schmutz that you don't love.
Gotta be careful and pick someone you really think and cross your fingers and toes.
Actually, Sarah, I don't think you should pick anybody. I think that what you should do, if you can, is live in a shoebox by yourself, if that's all you can afford. You know how many roommate cases we've done just in the last couple of years?
All with stress and aggravation intertwined immensely.
Immensely, and that's without romance involved. I mean, this young man, who looks like a perfectly reasonable young man and very honest, said he told the judge that he was shaking. I said, well, describe to me what you were doing. And he shook.
I would say
That's
that's
crazy.
a little
She was getting under his skin. There's no question she was getting under his skin.
Middle of COVID, everyone's
inside.
Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình và đến với series Tô Màu Tranh. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về một quý bà trông rất là xinh xắn này. Các bạn có thấy không? Hãy cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Đầu tiên thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho cái phần cái này nó như kiểu là cái gì đồ trên đầu ấy, khá là một giống chiếc mũ. Mình sẽ tô nha. Chắc là mình sẽ lựa chọn là màu xanh để tô nhé. Nó giống một cái băng đô mọi người ạ. Mình nghĩ vậy đó. Mái tóc thì mình sẽ là lựa chọn màu nâu để tô. Mình sẽ tô màu cho đôi hoa tai nhé. Mình sẽ tô màu cho đúng cho phần lông mày nhé. Tiếp theo là đôi môi nha. Giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu cho chuỗi cằm trai, chiếc vòng cổ cằm trai. Mình sẽ sử dụng màu tím để tô lên chiếc váy nha. Mình sẽ tô từ phần trên xuống. Tôi tô phần trên rồi, giờ thì tô nốt phần dưới để hoàn thành chiếc váy thôi. Và bức tranh của mình đã hoàn thiện xong rồi nha. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo nhé. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình và đến với series tô màu tranh nhé. Hôm nay thì cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh về nhân vật Nobita. Và hãy cùng mình bắt tay ngay bây giờ để tô màu cho bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nhé. Trước tiên thì hãy cùng mình tô màu mái tóc cho Nobita nhé. Mái tóc thì mình sẽ tô màu đen. Gì? Cái đích đào. Bây giờ mình sẽ sử dụng màu da để tô cho phần gương mặt nha. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ tô phần tay. Mình sẽ tô phần tay còn lại nhé. Đây. Tiếp theo là tô lên bộ đồ. Mình sẽ tô màu cam cho mọi người. Theo mình nhớ là trong bản đấy thì nó sẽ là màu cam. Bản phim ở đây. Tát chị sao rồi? chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã lại quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho một cô nàng đang cầm gói bóng chày nha. Có vẻ là cô nàng này biết chơi bóng chày đó. Hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu ngay bây giờ nhá. Trước tiên thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô phần mái tóc nhé. Mình sẽ tô màu vàng nha. Mình sẽ tô tóc bên này. Tiếp đến thì mình sẽ tô cây gậy bóng chày. Giờ thì tô màu cho chiếc mũ nha. Mình sẽ tô cái ký hiệu trên mũ trước. Mình sẽ tô màu xanh. Tiếp theo là tô đôi bông tai ha. Chiếc áo thì mình lựa chọn là màu cam nha, và kết hợp với chút màu xanh dương. Màu cam thì tô. Bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi nha. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Hãy like, share và ủng hộ để đón xem những video tiếp theo của mình nhé. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã lại quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình có tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô nàng khá là xinh xắn. Đây sẽ là bức tranh của ngày hôm nay mà mình sẽ tô nha. Hãy cùng mình theo dõi xem là mình sẽ tô màu như thế nào. Đầu tiên thì tô màu cho đôi bông tai. chiếc áo ở bên trong nhé. Bên nào của bé vẫn là tà áo. Ở ngoài này thì mình sẽ tô màu cam. Đi cùng mình tô màu cho chiếc áo khoác ngoài nhé. Mình sẽ sử dụng màu silver. Tớ tô cho cái bên này nhé. Bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi đó. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi video này nha. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo nhé. Tạm biệt mọi người. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô nàng nhé. Đây sẽ là bức tranh của ngày hôm nay mà mình sẽ tô. Hãy cùng mình theo dõi và tô màu cho bức tranh này ngay bây giờ. Trước tiên thì cùng mình tô màu cho mái tóc nha. Mình sẽ lựa chọn là màu đen. tô màu son cho bức tranh của mình rồi nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn đã lại cùng mình theo dõi video này. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về mùa bim bim nha. Đây, có vẻ là mùa bim bim khoai tây. Các bạn hãy cùng mình theo dõi để xem là mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh này như thế nào. Đầu tiên thì mình sẽ tô màu cho chữ chít nha mọi người. Tô màu tím. Hình như có tiếng sấm hay sao ấy nhở? Nhà hát karaoke à? Nhà hát karaoke à? Những cái tia xung quanh này thì mình sẽ hồng nha. Đấy, tiếng hát đâu đấy? Hay nhà chị Thúy? Không, như ta vừa nghe tiếng sấm ấy thôi. Trời sấm đúng không? Mày thấy mẹ không? Mẹ đâu? Thì mày, tao hỏi mẹ có thấy mẹ ở dưới nhà không? Cái viên của bim bim thì mình sẽ tô màu cam. Mang gì? Và mình sẽ dùng màu xanh để tô cho bim nhé. Ở đâu? Đi phải mang ấy, đã đi học bóng chép bài. Đi học bóng chép bài. Không, hôm nay học nghỉ là đi về. Để ra nhà điều kiện. Chúc mấy con cừu à? Chúc mấy con cừu à? Chốt một bánh con cừu à. Bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này nha. Tạm biệt mọi người. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã lại quay trở lại với kênh của mình và đến với series tô màu tranh. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho một chiếc tủ nhá. Ở trên thì có một cái vòi nước này. Các bạn hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu ngay bây giờ nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc bồn rửa mặt trước nhá. Sẽ tô màu xám nha. Kiểu xin lỗi hời hợt nhỉ, mặt chẳng thấy chút ăn năn gì. Sau này kêu là em muốn xin lỗi anh ngay bây giờ. Còn để mẹ xin lỗi à? Mình sẽ tô màu xám nha. Nhưng mà nghe nói là bố mẹ nó cũng tệ. Kiểu bố mẹ nó ly hôn đấy. Nghe nói là mẹ nó còn muốn đòi tiền, muốn lấy hết tiền kiện của con kia cơ. Tức là kiểu trong nhà chỉ có một chị gái là thương thằng ấy ấy. Chị gái thằng ấy cũng giàu mà mua được hẳn xe đắt BMW cơ mà. Ý là chị gái nó cũng có tiền. Bây giờ thì cô mình tô vào chiếc tủ nhá. Cái phần mặt này thì Không biết nó có bị áp lực sao nó cũng đi theo luôn nhỉ? Thế kệ nó. Nhưng mà anh nghĩ là như thế thì bây giờ nó bị công khai rồi thì đâu nó cũng không xấu được đâu. Những cái ngăn tủ, cánh tủ này thì mình sẽ tô màu hồng nhé. Con này con đăng lên trên mạng là tôi giờ này còn bị mất ăn mất ngủ, không thể, còn thậm chí là còn phải vừa đến gặp bác sĩ tâm lý. Bác sĩ là thôi, cái này ta không cứu được, về đi. Thật bác sĩ mà cũng biết được cái hoàn cảnh chắc cũng chẳng muốn chữa cho nó đâu ấy. Thì tiền có phải con ý đâu, tiền của thằng kia mà. Con này một là bị kiện rất nhiều, hai là đi tò, chắc chắn luôn. Bây giờ mình sẽ sử dụng màu xanh lá để tô cho chiếc tủ nha. Mình biết kiểu bọn bên này nó phong sát diễn viên không? Kiểu đến mức mà đổi cú diễn tận mà không sống được, phải đi ra nước ngoài sống ấy. Biết, hình như chắc hình như thế. Tại vì ở bên Trung thì nó chỉ ở WeChat là thôi. Chả biết nữa. Mấy các bọn nó hay chơi game với nhau. Con ý khôn, con ý toàn